So, did you guys do the reading?
Yeah.
I'm so...
No.
Are you serious, Somniat? Aw, I'm so sad. It's so good.
Friggin'... I'm sure it's really good. I swear, fucking... Okay, here's the problem. Right? I have this terrible habit of completely... I nuke my own free time with the activities I get into. When I get into something, I get into it so hard that, whenever I have free time, I just do that.
Look at Mr. Has things to do over here.
I mean, it's totally fine. It's just, I'm sad not because, oh, now you aren't going to be able to participate the way I want you to participate. It's because this is I love this book so much, and I feel like there's so much value in it. I just want people to read it. That's all it is, But I'm happy to have anybody, because it always adds to the discussion whether or not you've read. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about it, and I think that there actually is a little bit of value in having somebody that hasn't read it, just to have.
No, don't try to write. Let's not try to.
Wait. I will say there would still be more value in having me actually having read it. I just think there's something unique that comes from not having read it.
Yes, there is something unique, but just because it's unique doesn't mean it's preferable, right?
How do you spell post hoc?
You what?
How do you spell post hoc?
POST space HOC. Yeah, okay, no, get the fuck on here. What the fuck?
Something makes me think that how it's spelled doesn't matter.
But I think, personally, I actually am really glad we read the Tractatus now. Because, this section, I mean, I don't know, I haven't... What the fuck? You can't join... Sorry. I haven't gone back and read the first bit, but I feel like there are so many references to the stuff he talks about.
Yeah, there were.
I was just so happy. That we read it.
It was, he directly references it a few times.
Yeah, I mean, but also not even just directly references, just some of the concepts he uses too. In the fact,
I'm imagining that sometimes he just goes, "There are some who believe yada yada yada, and they're idiots," and then he's talking about stuff he said in the past.
No, that's actually not what he does. He just uses but there's one time in particular where he does sort of, I think, where is it? He's talking about something about order, how something has to be ordered or something. In particular, where I felt like he was kind of shitting on his previous work, but just in general, and the way he uses the term picture, he says that we should have a picture of things. I think that's
right.
And then too, I just love the way he goes through things and is the way he is just trying to really make an account of everything that happens during certain processes, when he's describing what it means, what happens when we read something, and I just think that is just it's so powerful. I don't know, it's such a unique way of trying to look. I mean, maybe it isn't unique, but to me it seems unique, because a lot of the time from philosophy, the way you attack a concept is you try to think about what it means, where he is just describing the concept in the real world, as it appears, and trying to gain meaning from that. And I really, 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 really like that, because it does show you some interesting things. What is the difference between reading? There are different kinds of reading. What is the different experience happening. I mean, it's just I really, really like that
Yeah.
a lot. I found the thing because he talks about on in 139. He uses something. He says something about like a method of projection, which is like a reference to in the Tractatus how he says, language is like a projection of like what's going on in reality. Milcom, I'm so disappointed. Milcom just asked, what are we talking about today? And that's extremely disappointing because we are obviously talking about the philosophical investigations up through 184, I believe. 188, sorry. Wait.
Freedom Babies Crushed.
No. It must have been 184. It was 184. Wait, we're not doing... What the fuck? Milcom, are you kidding me? We're not doing Phenomenology of the Spirit for a while. We're finishing Wittgenstein. Are you serious? Oh my god. Whatever. I'm gonna do an everyone thing. Discussion now.
Beautiful.
We're super chill. Okay.
Sorry.
I heard your phone buzz as the word ye.
Huh?
The word.
Your phone buzzed, and I thought that I heard someone say ye before realizing it was a phone buzz. No. I'm thinking of the phone buzz.
Okay. That was me, ironically, trying to turn off my phone buzz. There you go.
Nice.
No, I don't think you comprehend.
Wait a minute. What is happening?
Oh, well. Nothing. Literally nothing.
No, because I'm looking on my phone and I have a notification from Soda Dream 13 minutes ago. And I don't see it. Did she delete a message? Suspicious. It looks like she did. I love that. I love how like you can get a message on your phone and like if someone deletes it, like you still have the notification as evidence. You know?
You don't have to screenshot the notification and send it to
It's too late. It's too late. I already looked at it because it wasn't anything spicy, you know. So it was just Soda Dream saying she's gonna pretend she doesn't see what time it is and that she isn't gonna make it, which is
I saw that. I didn't realize I got deleted.
Yeah, it's gone. It's totally gone. Oh my goodness. Damn. So it's just right now. It's just me and Gal who've read this. I'm so bummed. Well, I think something disposable is gonna come, but he's not gonna come for like another hour. Milcom, why can't you talk? I don't even see you typing. You're not even listening, are you? This is so sad. Because, like, this is like...
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Well, Gal, did you have anything in particular that stuck out to you?
Let me see. Yeah, I thought it was interesting in, like, I guess the early 130s, section 130s. He was talking about, like, how philosophy is just to solve contradictions, and it's not to, like, give a model for anything.
Yeah.
What things should be.
Yeah. No,
I thought that was interesting. Like, does that mean... Is he talking about all of philosophy? Because, like, then what about ethics?
I think... I don't know. I personally think that he's talking about philosophy as in this, like, the type of philosophy that talks about the state of how things are, which means he's not talking about this philosophy as thinking about how things should be. It doesn't make sense, I don't think. I mean, and if he does think it's that way, he's wrong, or I think he's wrong. Like, it does. I mean, because when you think about the types of propositions he's making, he's not saying like, oh, you know, like he isn't even talking about ethics or morals or anything like that. He's just talking about other stuff. So I think it's safe to say he's not. Well, it's not safe to say. I'm just gonna say he's only talking about, like, for instance, metaphysics. Like, at some point he, like, actually says, like, we have to stop talking about, like, language, like the metaphysical language, and, like, about language, how it's used in every day, like, if we really want to get to the truth of the matter. And another thing, this is sort of unrelated, is just now that I know, because, like, I didn't know he was, like, he went to teach little kids, he went to teach little kids before he wrote this. Like, I didn't know about that. And, like, now reading through this and all of this stuff about teaching, like, I feel like he's definitely getting a lot of his examples from his experience teaching little kids.
That would make sense.
Okay, so I guess maybe this is something that we can have Somniad give some input on, but, like, so in this section, Wittgenstein does bring up stuff about what understanding is. Somniad, how would you define understanding?
That's tough. I think in the general case, understanding exists. Okay, wait. What kind of understanding, actually? Like, understanding linguistically or understanding systematically? Probably linguistically, right?
I'm just saying understanding. It's a single word. How would you define
it? I'm going to say this right now then. Understanding is two words. It is understanding linguistically and understanding
is one word. Understanding is a single word. It's literally a single word.
Alright, fuck off. Anyway. Okay, so anyway, I think there are two different ways that you can understand something. The first one is to understand how something works. And when you understand how something works, I think that exists on a strong spectrum, right? I think that when you understand how something works...
What does it mean to understand how something works?
It means that you can explain the principles by which it operates, or not even operates, because everything is kind of a machine, right? Like, even if it's broken, a machine is like a machine is a thing that operates by certain physical principles, right? So to understand it is to understand the physical principles upon which it operates. What's a physical principle? Okay, we're going to get into the part about understanding language.
Okay.
To understand, so in general, language is an attempt to transfer thoughts from one person's head to another. It doesn't do a great job, but it's an attempt. So I think that to understand language is to do that more or less successfully, right? Like, if you did that less successfully, then I think you'd be understanding less, and if you did that more successfully, you'd be understanding more.
I actually missed the first part of your thing, because I got distracted, because I was thinking about I was just thinking about other things. I'm sorry. I was just looking, yeah. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Just a second. I want to get my notepad. That's another thing I want to do, so I can write notes. And I don't know where it is. And I think
write notes so you can come back to what I'm saying and criticize it.
Let me just see if I can find. Where is it? Oh, it's over. I found it. Okay, just a second. I have to take off my headphones. I'll be right back.
Also, I've officially read the first half a page of the Philosophical Investigations.
Nice. You basically read it.
Basically. I decided that if I'm actually going to be in this group, I should at least attempt to read it to see if it sparks my interest strongly enough for me to actually do the readings.
Wait, what? Wait, have you not read any of the investigations?
Now I have.
Oh my goodness.
It's so good though. Dude, it's so good. Like, I mean, literally everybody who's read the investigations in this reading group has been like, holy shit, this is so good. So, like, it's not just me.
Okay, well, if it's really that good, then I'll probably end up reading all of it.
Yes, and you should. You really should. I mean, it's just, I can't express to you how big of an impact, like such a huge impact. This has had such a huge impact on me.
Okay.
I mean, like, you know what, honestly, maybe we should read some passages, because just that can illustrate, like...
Oh, can I finish explaining understanding real quick?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay. So basically, the idea is to understand language. Language is like an attempt to transfer. Okay, generally, language is an attempt to transfer ideas from one person's head to another.
Okay.
So I think that the more successful you are in that transfer, the more you understand, and the less successful you are, the less you understand.
Okay, but you didn't define, like, what is success? How do you know whether you've successfully, and what does transferring an idea even mean? Elaborate.
Well, I think for instance, to define success, it's a lot easier to define failure, right? Failure in this transfer would be if you just didn't have, if the words that somebody else says don't form a picture of something into your head.
So wait,
and then
so it involves a picture in your head?
Picture is not necessarily the right word. Picture is a much more specific word than I actually want. If I wanted to be very specific, I'd say that it forms a concept in your head, which is usually like a picture, but it's more like...
Well, you could say it's a picture in like this way that Wittgenstein... Oh, but you haven't even read it. I was gonna say, it's like the way Wittgenstein uses the term picture, but you haven't even...
How does he use the term picture? I suspect that the way he uses the term picture is almost exactly what I'm trying to get at.
Yes. Would you agree, Gal?
The main question I have is, if he uses picture like that, does picture also encompass, like...
You didn't even let Gal finish, because it sounded like he might disagree.
Oh. I thought he was just going,
Yeah, I don't know. He did just do that, but I'm going to put him on the spot. Gal, I'm not letting you get away with anything this time, okay? You can't just let other people talk. You have to contribute, because you're the only... Like, it's not...
Wow.
You've read it. You've actually fucking read it, so...
Wow, way to notice what my tactics are. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys suck.
Beautiful.
I just have to
We've
go.
got a gal who's done the reading and won't give his opinion. And me... Sorry, we got a gal who's done the reading and won't contribute his opinion, and me, who hasn't done the reading and will talk all day.
Yes, it's great. And there's also me trying to rein y'all in, and Milcom, who he just doesn't do anything.
Okay, when Wittgenstein talks about picture, what comes to my mind is because I read a bit. What's the term? Scholastic. Scholastic is like Thomistic, like stuff, isn't it?
Wait, what?
Scholasticism, like kind of pre-Enlightenment.
Oh, I don't know any of that shit. I don't know.
Okay, well, what comes to mind when he talks about picture is the scholastic idea of phantasm, which is like an image of a concept, or like how a concept appears to you in your mind.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Huh.
Well, because if you look at oh my god, Anar Kumar! You're here! Hello. Hi!
Have you done the reading? I haven't.
Okay, cool.
Have you done the reading?
Glad I'm not alone.
Anar Kumar? No. Yeah, okay.
Right.
You should. Yeah. You should, not to join the discussion, but you should, because the investigations are amazing. And they're also, I think, fairly accessible. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, the language he uses is very clear. It's not too hard to understand. Oh, Milcom, don't be a dick.
Okay, but the real question I have is, why didn't Wittgenstein write the first philosophy picture book?
Okay, just a second. So I'm looking at in the Tractatus. Okay, yeah, here we go. Where he tries to say what a picture is. So
fucking.
It's okay. So it is. He starts talking about it in Proposition 2.1. He says, "We make to ourselves pictures of facts. The picture presents the facts in logical space, the existence and non-existence of atomic facts. The picture is a model of reality." So
okay,
it's not literally. Yeah, I think it's similar to what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. A picture is a model. That's actually a really good description of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking in my head, how do you liken a picture? How do you liken a picture to, like, it's really easy to say a picture could also include, like, other senses other than sight, right? Like, that's not so hard to imagine, right? But, like, how do you liken a picture to more abstract ideas? And saying model is a really good way of doing that.
Yeah. So I think model, that's because that's what how he uses the word. And Anar Kumar, just so you know, this has been me trying to get Somniad to tell me what he thinks understanding is. You're next. He hasn't done the reading, and it's relevant to the reading, so that's why.
And by the way, I do think that the idea of transferring a model from one person to another is a really, really good way of defining linguistic understanding between two people.
Okay. And so that's how you would define understanding?
Unless somebody comes up with something that blows mine out of the water.
Wittgenstein does, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah, I knew that.
What about Anar Kumar? How would you define understanding? What is understanding?
Off the cuff?
Yep.
This is tricky. Let me think. Understanding. Are we assuming that there's such a thing as understanding?
I mean, we're just trying to define the word. The concept. What is it? How is the term used, you might ask? And for posterity, Milcom is saying, I think understanding is closer to linguistic reception, but ignore Milcom. Oh, Anar Kumar, by the way, we are recording this, just so you know. This is being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll be sure not to say anything that'll get me fired.
Actually, maybe I haven't said anything that would get me fired. But anyways, we just post it here. We don't, like, upload it anywhere or anything.
Just trying to think.
Sorry.
I think one of the most, one question is how do you differentiate understanding from memorizing everything, every, possible combination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think any good definition of understanding would differentiate between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the thought experiment with, what's it called? The Chinese room? I don't know if you've heard of it.
I feel like I might have, but I forget the actual thought experiment. Can you?
Yeah, so basically it's a man sitting in a room, and he's given a huge book of instructions, and it describes to him how to convert a string of Chinese characters to its English equivalent. And so he just follows he gets fed a piece of paper that has a string of Chinese text, and then he just follows the book, and it details the instructions perfectly, so there's no ambiguity whatsoever, and then outputs a English string. But does he understand Chinese?
Mm-hmm.
The idea is, intuitively we wouldn't think that's understanding. So
I think there's a slightly more potent version of this idea, just emotionally potent, to illustrate the point a little bit better, where instead of translating it from Chinese to English, he goes from Chinese to carry on a conversation without ever understanding a word.
Yeah.
I think that was the original version.
Even stronger, yeah. You might be right. Yeah, I think there's like just intuitively when I'm thinking about understanding, there's this feeling of depth because the person in the room, he's not doing anything. It's like a shallow following of instructions. But if you were to understand what's being said, you'd have to map it. Yeah, so the information that's being inputted to you would have to map to, let's say, I don't know what the word would be.
Like,
emotions,
like a formula?
Intuitions.
Oh.
But like the base units of, let's say, the human experience. And yeah, so I think, let's say to understand a word, you have to be able to map it to an internal state.
Okay. So you think of understanding as like a feeling?
Yeah. So far.
Okay. I just want to read. I want to read Milcom. What he said. He says, "I think understanding is closer to linguistic reception." Somniad replied, "While I'm at it, I don't think it's necessarily possible to perfectly impart a model using language, which isn't purely abstract. For example, mathematics." And Milcom says, "I think language is less effective at imparting a single model as it is is less effective at imparting a single model as it is at delivering an interpretation of a model." Wait. Sorry, that language is less effective. So maybe I think language is not as effective as at imparting a single model as it is at delivering an interpretation of a model. Is that? I think that's what that means. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's what I meant. All right, and also formal languages are cringe, so they don't count. Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting because formal languages can be used to create like perfect descriptions within their own context, but also like in order to translate that back into the kind of understanding that Anar Kumar is talking about, you have to then take linguistic liberties.
Yeah. So then, Gal, what about you? How would you define understanding? We are going to bring this back to what it's since we have so many people here who haven't read it, and I think that the stuff he talks about with understanding is pretty powerful. But Gal, what do you think about understanding? And you can, if you want, actually pull from the text as well. Feel free to do so.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
No, I was just saying, like, you should define understanding, and, like, since you've actually read it, you can pull from the text, if you want.
Well, to talk about the text, would it be accurate to say that Wittgenstein talks about understanding as, I think the thing he says is, processes which are characteristic of understanding. Like that's what it is to understand, to have processes, mental processes that are characteristic of understanding.
I mean, I think Wittgenstein's more of a behaviorist. I mean, where he's focused on how understanding actually is a behavior, and like we attribute mental states to it. And like there are distinct, like we can give an account of our internal experience that we have when we feel like we understand something, but it's not necessarily causally related to showing or demonstrating understanding. For instance, you can imagine someone who feels like they understand a concept and then applies it completely wrong, you know? Like, have that ever happened to you, or have you ever seen someone say, "Oh yeah, I get it," and then they don't at all?
Yeah, I've done that.
So, and so let me see if I can find.
Yeah, by the way, that's actually why I like the idea of a model so much. It's because when you're when you're imparting a model from one person to another, a model is usually something that you can test, right? Which means that even if you can't be sure if your words are imparting that model correctly, you can then ask someone questions in order to determine whether or not they understood the model. Because if they did understand it, then they'll have the same answers to certain questions as you.
So it's about having the same answers to the same questions, like being consistently right?
I don't know about right. You can obviously impart totally incorrect models that could give two people the same answer.
Well, what I mean right is like
I think that what's important here is that they would each have the same understanding if they had the same answers. You know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I can read from him. I'm looking, Gal, I don't know if anybody else has the text up. I'm looking at 143 right now, because that's where he's sort of talking about some examples of teaching and how understanding results from it. I don't want to just read the whole thing.
Why is there just a big chunk of Latin right here in the beginning?
Oh my god, it's a quote from, I think it's from Augustine.
Yeah.
Why isn't it translated?
It is translated.
It is translated.
Oh.
At the bottom or something.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Honestly, maybe because we have people who haven't read it, we don't have to just discuss. This sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck.
Well, I do want to talk about the text, right? Because obviously there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and the way you're doing it is actually pretty cool. We're talking about ideas of understanding, and then hopefully the way this culminates is to talk about what Wittgenstein's idea of understanding is.
I'm just going to start reading some stuff, and we can just read and go, the stuff relevant to understanding. So this is a section, paragraph, I don't fucking know, 143. Let's now examine the following kind of language game. When A gives an order, B has to write down series of signs according to a certain formation rule. Let the first of these series be that of the natural numbers in the decimal system. How does he come to understand this system? First of all, series of numbers are written down for him, and he is required to copy them. And here already there is a normal and an abnormal learner's reaction. At first, perhaps, we guide his hand in writing out the series 0 to 9, but then the possibility of communication will depend on his going on to write it down by himself. And here we may imagine, for example, that he does copy the figures by himself, but not in the right order. He writes sometimes one, sometimes another at random. And at that point, communication stops. Or again, he makes mistakes in the order. The difference between this and the first case will of course be one of frequency. Or he makes a systematic mistake. For example, he copies every other number, or he copies the series 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, 1, 0, 3, 2, 5, 4. Here we shall almost be tempted to say that he has understood us wrongly. Notice, however, that there is no sharp distinction between a random and a systematic mistake. That is, between what you are inclined to call a random and what a systematic one. Perhaps it is possible to wean him from the systematic mistake as from a bad habit. Or perhaps one accepts his way of copying and tries to teach him the normal one as an offshoot, a variant of his. And here, too, our pupil's ability to learn may come to an end. I could keep going on because it's just so beautiful. Do you want me to actually write that out in the chat? Does somebody need me to copy that in the chat for them to read? I can do that, if that will be helpful. It'll just take me a moment. Did anybody have any thoughts on that?
I'm trying to figure out in what sense. I don't really understand. I don't understand. I don't really get how this is like understanding in any meaningful way, right? Like I feel like in order for the pupil to win this language game, so to speak, they don't actually have to understand a single thing. Does that make sense?
How do you mean?
Wait, say that again? I'm sorry.
I think it feels like in order for the pupil to win this language game, they don't have to understand a single
Nobody's
thing.
winning. It's not a language game.
Fucking, well, there are ways to lose.
No, okay, this is part of the problem with you having not done the reading, because
Yeah, I suppose.
the thing is,
Fucking,
I guess
terminology I came up with off the top, right?
So language game. So like the whole concept of a language game, this has to do with Wittgenstein and what he thinks of, like how he compares language to a game. Let me see if I can find. But basically, I mean, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, okay.
Obviously, like I know from vague rumors and stuff. Fucking rumors sounds silly. That language games are an extremely important Wittgenstein concept.
Okay. Let me just read this. This may be. Let me see. Wait. Because I'm here. It's like in the 80s. The 80s is where I think he's talking about. The game. I think 83 maybe. So I'll just read it. Doesn't the analogy between language and games throw light here? We can easily imagine people amusing themselves in a field by playing with a ball like this, starting various existing games, but playing several without finishing them, and in between throwing the ball aimlessly into the air, chasing one another with the ball, throwing it at one another for a joke, and so on. And now someone says, the whole time they are playing a ball game, and therefore are following definite rules at every throw. And is there not also the case where we play and make up the rules as we go along, and even where we alter them as we go along? And this, I guess, isn't totally relevant now that I just read it, because he's talking about how, like, the rules of language are analogous to the rules of this game. Saying that language has to have clear, coherent rules is similar to saying that games have to have clear, coherent rules. Like, how would you define a game?
Okay.
Like, what is a game? You know?
Okay, this is a funny one, because people have often gone out of their way to strictly define a game as a thing which, typically, like if somebody is to give a definition, the definition is going to be an activity in which there is a clear losing state. I think that's definitely not the idea that's being gone for here, though.
Do you really think that all games have losers?
Well, okay, here's the thing, right? I think that, I don't necessarily, okay, first of all, I think loser is not necessarily the right word, right? Like, obviously there are games that only have one person. Second, I think that this isn't the greatest definition, because it does create some really odd exclusions, right? Like, for instance, in some sort of thing that has absolutely no way to lose, but it does have many different choices that you make in order to change what occurs. I think that's clear. I think, in my opinion, that clearly makes sense to call a game. Like, just fucking intuitively, fuck off. But, like, this wouldn't be a game by that definition.
Well, I think for me, a game is something you play, and I am intentionally being vague. It's an activity. It's an activity where you do stuff, basically. I think you can't really nail it down further than that. There are different types of games.
Yeah, but I guess the question is, by that definition, what activity isn't a game?
It's stuff. I mean, I think so. This gets into maybe like the first section of the reading. which is like for a couple weeks ago, where he talks about how there aren't really clear boundaries to concepts. He does try to define games at some point.
Yeah. I've already run into this lots of times myself. It's obvious that there aren't clear boundaries to concepts, you know?
So here, proposition, I think that's actually what it is. It's not proposition, I don't know. Paragraph 75, section 75, who the fuck knows? He says, what does it mean to know what a game is? What does it mean to know it and not be able to say it? Is this knowledge somehow equivalent to an unformulated definition, so that if it were formulated, I'd be able to recognize it as the expression of my knowledge? Isn't my knowledge, my concept of a game, completely expressed in the explanations that I could give? That is, in my describing examples of various kinds of games, showing how all sorts of other games can be constructed on the analogy of these, saying that I would hardly call this or that a game, and so on. If someone were to draw a sharp boundary, I couldn't acknowledge it as the one that I too always wanted to draw or had drawn in my mind, for I didn't want to draw one at all. It can then be said, his concept is not the same as mine, but akin to it. The affinity is that of two pictures, one of which consists of color patches with blurred boundaries, and the other of patches similarly shaped and distributed, but with sharp boundaries. The affinity is just as undeniable as the difference.
All right.
So, like, you can draw a sharp definition of what a game is, but
okay.
I think
so you can try to do that. It's just he's trying to make this clarification that you don't really need to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm sorry, like I haven't like pre-chosen these passages, so I'm just sort of reading something that looks.
No,
right?
that's good.
Because like what because the reason this jumped out to me is he says like, how do I explain my concept of a game? He says that is in my describing examples of various kinds of games. And so I think that like that's like the best way, like the way we think about what a word means is we have examples of when to use that word, or what that, like, we give concrete examples. We don't just have like, a definition and then apply it. Right? Like, does that make sense? We don't start from the definition. We start from examples and try to retroactively describe some kind of unifying picture, theme, idea.
That's fair.
Model.
I also think game in particular is a really interesting one. Sorry, this is slightly off track from what you were just talking about, but
That's fine.
I want to say this really bad.
No, you can't say it. No, you're not allowed to say it. No, I'm just kidding.
I think this is a really, really interesting example because I think that games are really baked into human behavior in a really strong way, right? And I think it's, now that I think about it, it's actually not too hard to come up with things that aren't games, right? Like it would be easy. It would be easy to talk about behaviors that you just do, right? Behaviors that, like knee-jerk reactions, reflexes, that kind of thing. Those aren't games. Those are behaviors. They're not games. But I think that when humans make decisions, there's usually some sort of game in the abstract sense that they're playing, and I think that the fact that it's so related to how humans work is really interesting because it makes it hard to define just because of how vague you have to be.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say with that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, so like, imagine you tried to define a game as just like that really strict thing, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear that won't work. And the reason for that is because of the kind of the ball game with the changing of rules that Wittgenstein talks about, right? Oh, bye.
He'll probably be back.
Yeah. And the reason for that is like that kind of ball game, right? I think that at the very least most people will be like, oh yeah, that's a game. It's a weird game. It's just like Calvin ball. But like, they're still playing, right? And because they're still playing, that's still a game. And I think that when you look to a little bit of a broader picture, you see that there are games with mutually understood implicit rules that humans engage in with others and themselves almost constantly, no matter what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, because Wittgenstein calls language a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Good point. Not just language, though, right? There's also that kind of game with, like, social interactions, and with, like a great
the game.
example would be
Have you got good game? Or wait, what is it? Is it the can you play the game? Is that like the way the red pillars?
Having game.
Yeah, like
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It is a game, though. It is a game.
A really clear example of a game that isn't a game by like any particularly traditionalist definition is like a job interview. Like that's very obviously a game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a really clear idea of this is a really clear conception of this is that even for all of the many things that we don't think about as games, you're still able to game the system, so to speak, right? I don't think that's just a figure of speech. I think that when you're able to game the system, that you're definitely playing a game in there, you know? You're taking advantage of those implicit rules. You're leveraging them in order to get what you want. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the game sort of implies following some kind of rule.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a strong rule either. It just has to be something that there just has to be some sort of consequence for breaking it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like you are expected to behave a certain way, when a certain thing happens, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think, yeah, going by that, we could probably define a game as a value function where different behaviors that could be done have different, values assigned to them thanks to that function. And if we take the ball game where the rules were ever evolving, what was happening was the value function was changing. That's a rule change.
I like that a lot, actually. That's vague, but it also completely defines, in my opinion at least, it draws a really good, this is the sharp line Wittgenstein was talking about that he didn't want to draw, but what this does for me is it draws that line in a way that I feel comfortable with. You know?
Yeah, because I can't think of a game where there aren't preferred states. There doesn't have to be like a binary win or lose, but there at least has to be preferred states to be in.
Yeah, and certainly I can't imagine how you would go about calling something without preferred states a game, right?
Wait, I'm sorry, This is completely irrelevant. If I put myself as do not disturb, will I stop getting the little dun from messages?
Yes.
Okay, because I just realized that might be a way to...
That might be a way of ending the da-da.
Yeah, in the recordings, yeah.
Oh, nice.
We'll
That's
see.
a good idea because when I listen to recordings and they have Discord...
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm sorry.
It's the work.
I'm doing my best here, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, I do think this is I think this is a solid idea of what a game is, especially because it really one of the properties that I was looking for in anything that would reasonably be called a game is one of the properties that I look for is that it also includes games that you don't play with other people, games you play with yourself. And I think this does that really well.
Well, and this is actually something we haven't gotten to in the reading yet. You obviously wouldn't know, but it's okay. I'm just kidding, by the way.
I'm sure Wittgenstein would be rolling in his grave, by the way, at us just and this is exactly what a game is.
No, well, I mean, I don't think we are trying to say exactly what a game is. We're just giving our best descriptions we can. Fuck, what was I saying? Do you remember how I started?
Something about.
Oh yeah.
About the reading.
So in later down the line, have you guys ever heard of the concept of a private language?
Yes.
I actually haven't, but I can't help but imagine that it's kind of obvious what it is.
Sort of. Okay, how would you? I just want to hear your guess.
All right, yeah. So fucking my guess is that usually a language is used to communicate, but a private language would be a method by which a person communicates ideas to themselves in order to clarify their understanding to themselves. I don't know, that's not quite correct. Never mind. Now that I actually said it out loud, that's clearly not what it is.
Yeah, so a private language is a language that you have with yourself, but what makes it private is that you cannot teach it to somebody else. That's the distinction. So you can imagine, like, you have a language you create for yourself. You just totally make it up. You know, like the whole conlang thing. Oh, my God. But and you make it up, and nobody else can speak it in the entire world. But the thing is, it's not a private language because you can teach that to someone else. Someone else can theoretically learn it. There are ways to externally verify the concepts it's referring to.
Sorry, how do I do that, though? I don't understand what the process of creating a private language is.
Well, here's the thing. Wittgenstein says a private language is impossible.
Yeah, I was kind of under that impression when I first heard about it, too.
I mean, I remember when I was in my class, for this, when I going over this book, and like I was trying to come up with a way that this was wrong. That like you could have. Oh my gosh, your squeaky chair, creaky chair.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, ha 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 ha. Very funny. But the way, a way that a private language could be real, and the example I came up with was a language, like for, and this, he gets into this later, but he talks about like, oh, let's say you have like a symbol for a certain internal state you have, but like there's no way to verify that symbol. But my idea was, oh, you could attribute a symbol to a feeling you have in response to a specific piece of music. And it would be private because you could never really explain that feeling to another person, because nobody's necessarily going to feel the same way you do when you hear that same piece of music. But you know how you feel every single time you hear that piece of music. You know it's a distinctive feeling. And that was my example of a private language.
I don't know. I do think that this is certainly private. I think you've come up with something that's private, but I don't know if this definitely can be called a language.
Well, I think that
or even a word.
I mean, why not? Like, why is a word for a certain internal experience a word versus another? And I would like to add that I did. There were like my professor showed me how there was a problem or potentially a problem with my my private language and why it wasn't useful.
Yeah.
But I still think that's a pretty good example of something that could be a private language if a private language did exist.
I think the issue with this is that you can't. How do I put this? When you use this word, right? When you use this word which describes this feeling in response to this particular piece of music, really any feeling which is like particularly personal, you can't use it for... okay, maybe I'm not understanding quite right, but I'm not seeing how you'd be able to use that for any kind of communication.
Well, it's not.
Does that make sense?
You're not supposed to use it for communication. It's a private language.
Okay. Let me try to put this differently.
What I would say is the purpose of it would be for something like, say, a diary for yourself.
Oh no! I get it now. Okay. I had a really weird misunderstanding. We're good now.
But I think by your definition, you could even argue that all languages are private languages, because you'll never be perfectly able to impart the intuitive state you're in using a symbol to someone else. Only approximated.
Yeah, if Enric Kummer is right about
I'm going to just stop you right. I'm just going to stop you right there for a second, though, because you can say like language. What language is, and what Wittgenstein would say words are, is how they are actually used. So language isn't. Language is the use of the word language, and so it refers to our actual language, that our actual ways of communicating. I just wanted to.
Do you ever just read some philosophy, or I guess hear about somebody, listen to somebody who read some philosophy? What the fuck ever? Do you ever just learn about some philosophy and realize just how influential the philosophy has been on modern thought? Because I've actually heard that. I've actually heard that idea before about a word being how it is used, but I didn't realize that comes from Wittgenstein.
I'm actually not sure if it does, but it should. I might as well, because he just oh god. I didn't hear about that idea until I read this book. This book changed my fucking life, dude.
No doubt, right? Like it's quite possible that he's not the first person to have this idea, but it seems extremely likely that he's the one that
popularized it
into the consciousness of people.
Yeah. I think that philosophical investigations is well renowned as one of the most influential works, one of the most important works in history of philosophy.
That's fair.
So, wait, if we're going to criticize the idea that all languages are private languages because we're going to define words as how they're used, doesn't that nullify your private language of the feeling you get in response to a song? Because that word could just be used as roughly meaning that's the feeling that Freedom Baby gets when she listens to that song, and people could use that symbol.
Yeah, actually, I never thought about it. I never thought about it from that direction.
That's actually kind of a good point, because
Beetle in the box, guys. Beetle in the box. Have you ever heard of the Beetle in the box?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, the word. But here's the thing: the word refers to the feeling, but it's not like the word is the feeling itself. You can't. It doesn't make sense to have a word which has to be the feeling itself when written down, right? Because that doesn't make sense to have a feeling on a page.
Well,
so
I think
because it refers, rather than
all words refer.
Yeah, and because it refers, you can teach it to somebody else, because you only have to teach them what it refers to, not what it is.
Yeah. I think you're right. The criticism that was leveled to me of my idea was that you could never externally verify that feeling, and so you would never know if that symbol for that feeling I would get is consistently applied. You don't actually know. Every time I listen to the song, I wouldn't actually know whether or not I felt the same. That symbol would be essentially meaningless because there's no criteria. There's no way to know I wasn't just feeling something completely different every single time. There's no way to know that. And so that's why that symbol is meaningless. That's why private language is meaningless, because there's no way to externally verify.
Wait, if we're being that skeptical, I feel like we're being inconsistent here. If you're being so skeptical that you say you can't know that the feeling's the same every time you listen to the song, then how do we know that we can externally verify anything?
Well, so for instance, the feeling of pain. how do we know we can verify that? Well, what we do is you look at, people tend to have the same kinds of body language when they experience pain. They cry, their face looks similar. They might say the words, I am in pain. And that's how you might externally verify that they're in pain. I mean, you can't actually know what their internal experience is, but you can say this person acts like how other people act when they are in pain, or when or this set of behaviors, and it seems to be verifiable that people have when they have these similar behaviors. It's a one single state, and we call that state pain.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, technically that's not like fully verified. Like, you can't go ahead and write a mathematical proof that all of these people are all in the same state.
Yeah, but that process of verification will always go through that kind of bottleneck of going through you perceiving it.
Yeah.
And the same criticism which could be laid towards your perception of a feeling can be laid towards your perception, let's say the feeling that only you get in response to that song. Mm-hmm. The same criticism can be applied to whatever you're perceiving that you think is external verification. Because if we're doubting the validity of a perception, how can you differentiate, how can you apply that criticism consistently such that external verification is somehow still valid, even though it goes through that layer of perception, but an emotion which you perceive isn't valid because it's not quote unquote externally verifiable.
Well, I think that
externally verifiable.
I mean, I think we're going down a little bit of a skepticism rabbit hole, which is fine. I think that the difference is that, I mean, we're going to assume
skepticism rabbit hole. I'm stealing that phrase. I'm going to use it later. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm going to use it later.
It definitely has use. But
I'm not trying to be like super skeptical.
No, I know. I appreciate
it. Criticism relies on skepticism, then you have to apply consistently.
Well, I think that the thing is, and so I might be answering poorly here, but when you think about verification of whether something is occurring or not, you can verify with other people, like the way someone's behavior, right? Are you saying you can't verify that? You're saying, because you're talking about the perception of other people saying they see the same thing. Is how do you know that's reliable? I think that.
Well, how do you know it's more reliable than your emotion?
I think you don't, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna assume that not all perception is a lie, because
Sure. So why is the song feeling perception a lie?
You can't. So let's assume that when you talk to people, they're really saying things and they're really acting. You can't. When you perceive your own feelings, you can't. Nobody else can perceive that, and you can't talk about it with anybody else. Nobody else can verify that you had the same feeling. They might be able to verify that you are outwardly acting the same way, but they can't have that same experience as you. Whereas if you observe the same phenomenon outside, like if you both see a kid get hit by a car, you can verify that with them. And I guess you can't know for sure whether your perception of their verification is real the same way you can't know your own experience is real. But I don't know if that solves what
So you can use. So it seems like you're kind of relying on using experience in order to verify. But that makes me wonder. If that's the case, then it seems like necessarily you can't use experience to. At the very least, you can't verify in the same way for experiences, the way that you verify, the way, if you're with a friend and you watch some kid get hit by a car.
Samyad likes to talk, so if you want to talk, just talk over him. I'm sorry, Samyad.
Okay. So if you're standing in a corner with your friend, right? You can just fucking verify with your friend. Oh yeah, that kid just got hit by a car. Fuck, right? But like, the only way to verify that they're in pain, for sure, is to ask them if they're in pain and trust that they're not lying. But you have to have a shared linguistic understanding of
Well,
what
another
pain
way to
is.
know if they're in pain is just to know what most people look like when they're in pain and to see if they look like a person that's in pain.
I'm not disagreeing with your points there. I'm just saying if you apply these points, you can't then go and say that. So if you were to say that that internal or private emotion or perception that your private language describes is not externally verifiable, the criticisms you're using will also completely disintegrate what, like, the points you're making right now of what externally verifiable is. So let's just put it this way. So in the process of, realizing something, verifying something externally, you have a set of inputs from the external world, such as what you see, how you see other people behaving, such as putting their arm over a region of pain. But there's another part. There's an internal function of sameness, which is, okay, so these are a set of behaviors which are linked to the same concept or feeling, such as pain. So, okay, this is how people behave when they experience this thing called pain. And that sameness function is equivalent to the one you use when you say, okay, this is the emotion I feel when I listen to this song, and I'm going to attribute a symbol to it. In both these cases, the function you're using to determine what describes the same concept is internal. So yes, there are external stimuli, but the process of verification, that verification function is internal in both cases. So I don't see why it's not reliable in one case, but it is in the other.
I don't know how to respond. Like, I don't think I'm understanding fully, and I'm very sorry. I don't think it's just me. I think.
I'm actually in exactly the same boat, and I feel like somehow I just got like lost somewhere.
Okay, so very, very simply. So external verification is not just what happens on the outside. There's also a process of you putting it together. So piecing together, okay, these are the external processes, such as seeing how people behave, and I'll attribute that to pain. There's still that internal process of, connecting the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And the same process you're using to say, okay, this is the same feeling I'm getting every time I listen to this song. So,
I guess the difference is it's like
you either trust it or you don't.
Well, the difference is what you trust are the types of experiences where other people seem to come to agree with you. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, but that other people, like, there's a layer which is other people. Let's say agreeing. But there's also another layer where you think this is agreement, right? You have to have a mental process of like, okay, this is what people agreeing is.
Oh, so is what you're trying to say that the process of freedom is what you're trying to say that the process of verification is the process of coming to a shared understanding about what something is?
Yes.
Why can't you do that with yourself?
Yeah.
I think that it's a problem of like maybe definition, like the only way to verify something is to have someone else be able to come to the same understanding. I think. Like it's not even about the fact that you maybe like don't have this like maybe you it's not to say that like when you hear the song every time and you attribute a feeling to it and like you say like that feeling is the same every time, like you could be correct that the feeling is the same every time. But there's no way to verify. It's impossible because you can't have anybody else come to that same understanding.
I don't know. What I'm getting held up on here is that even though I think that there's something weird going on here, even though I think there's something really weird going on here with this case, I do think that there's a sense in which the word for this feeling is strongly linguistic still. And the reason I think that is because if you think about it, you can still
also. I would just like to point out that this example of the feeling in response to music, it is not Wittgenstein's example. It is my own example. So it may be extremely faulty in some way. Just putting that out there.
Well, it could still be faulty if it was Wittgenstein.
Yes, it could be,
right?
but it's probably I probably did not think about
likely.
it. Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, I think there's something important here because I think this is still a linguistic idea, right? I think that it makes sense. Not only does it make sense to use this word in sentences, right? Like you could say that the feeling that you felt now is a feeling which has some shared characteristics with the feeling you get from that music, right? And I think that when you do that, I think that for another person to read that, they wouldn't be able to they'd be able to know what that word is, but they wouldn't be able to understand the word in the same way that they understand most words, because they wouldn't have any way to understand what those shared characteristics are, because they don't even know what the feeling is.
Yes. This is giving me what is it like to be a bat flashbacks.
It really freaks me out a little bit, right? Because like there's something here, and I think it's something that's very particular to the kind of example which you've brought up, but I don't exactly know how to characterize it.
Yeah.
I think it is externally verifiable.
Is it?
Yeah. By any reasonable definition of externally verifiable. Yeah. You said it yourself. Another person could just see that there's a consistent set of behaviors that you demonstrate when you have that feeling.
Yeah.
And how's that any different to you seeing other people have a consistent set of behavior
true.
and they have a feeling?
You might be right. That's why I said it could just be a faulty example.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do think that... Wait, here's the main problem, though. That consistent set of behaviors doesn't then allow them to map that onto their own experience, because it's not it's not the same as something like pain, because when I see somebody, like, pain is a pretty universal human thing, right? Like, I don't know if it's 100% universal. There might be some people whose brains are really fucky, but
there's 2,000 people who can't feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
they exist.
Fuck those 2,000 people. Okay. Now that we're done with fucking those 2,000 people, fucking that's all. Presumably, if you can't feel pain, that's all you do anyway. I think that the first part of verifying the idea of pain, verifying that pain, is like seeing the reaction, but then the second part is like the shared reaction that you have with another person, you know, and like using that to create like an understand. I think that the actual understanding happens when you connect that to how you feel when you have that reaction as well. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Your definition is unknowable, because you're assuming
I
that
didn't say it wasn't.
your pain.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad property.
Your pain is the same, or at least roughly the same as everyone else's pain. But if we're going by the definition of a word as how it's used, Because for all you know, your entire emotional spectrum internally is completely different to everyone else's. It's just that.
Yeah, of course. This is like third grade conversations. How do I know my blue is really your blue?
Yeah. So but that's the distinction you're making here. As long as I can use the term freedom maybe made up or the symbol, then yeah, it's not private.
This is a bit of a clusterfuck. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Okay.
So,
hi. We spent almost the entire time you've been gone on this really weird tangent about private languages.
and it's not even in the reading, but it's okay because I was the only person that did the reading anyways. But it does come up later on.
Sense.
It does.
You're so sad.
I am. I'm actually quite sad because I was so happy to get back to Wittgenstein and I was so excited and I was reading it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so glad we read the Tractatus. Like, this is so relevant. Like, this is great. And such a poor turnout. So sad. Oh well, that's okay.
Hey, maybe I'll read all the way from... Maybe the thing that I'll get really into this week is going to be just reading up to like 200 and something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's not a hard read. Like, it's not like the Tractatus. It's like, it's very much, he talks very, I think, colloquially. Is that the right word? Casually, maybe?
Casually?
Yeah. Like, the way he talks, it's not like, it's like he's just trying to say things as normally as possible. And it's quite,
good.
The only thing that makes things difficult to understand is when it's just inherently difficult to understand. It's never, I don't think, a result of the way he phrases it. The way he phrases it is extremely clear and intuitive.
So, would this make Wittgenstein the opposite of Hegel?
A little bit. Yeah, we're starting our planning. Oh my gosh, because Malcolm is so excited about Hegel. Like, I can't, it's hilarious. And we're starting our prep for that. It's good, honestly. It's good. But it's going to be a very different experience than this, I think, because it's just going to be kind of intense. I think also I want to start up the second reading group, which may be more casual stuff when we get to the Hegel because of the nature of Hegel and how it may just put a lot of people off. It will also, like the Hegel, oh my God. I mean, it's good. I really want to do that. Like, I think it's important. Like, I want to read Hegel and work my way through Marx. Like, I want to do that. This is a great way to do that. But I think I also want to have another way for people to engage, like, that isn't, because it's fun to do these more, not solely political, or I don't know, just lighter stuff. And we were also even talking about, like, maybe fiction, not just like any old fiction, but maybe some fiction with interesting ideas.
Let's read Harry Potter.
Oh my God. I mean, like, I like science fiction, because science fiction often is sort of like posing interesting questions. Harry Potter, what are the interesting questions in Harry Potter?
Fucking... All I can think about when I think Harry Potter is J.K. Rowling.
My dad gets his panties all up in a twist because he's like, why don't they learn math? Why don't the wizards learn math? Like, you'd think it'd be important for them to learn math, but they just don't learn math. Like, why not? Like, he gets so up and, oh my God. It's very frustrating to me.
You'd think if a wizard learned math, they would get way better at some kinds of magic.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even. Who fucking knows?
Fucking, I don't know. I know that in. Oh wait, this is so off topic.
It's okay.
I know that in like fucking a lot of settings for tabletop campaigns, that kind of thing. Wizardry is the kind of thing where it's heavily implied that you need to know a lot of math.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never.
There's a lot of settings where like there's a lot of theory that goes into magic, and I don't know about you guys, but I always imagined that a lot of that theory involves understanding like the equations that govern magical law, that kind of thing.
Yeah, any sufficiently studied magic is indistinguishable from science.
It's Tree.
Literally just started getting off topic.
Well, Tree, have you done the reading?
Yeah, I've been doing video editing all day.
So you didn't read Wittgenstein? Everybody here has done the reading. Just kidding. That's not true. It's only me and Gal who've done the reading.
Send me the link to Wittgenstein and I'll read it at some point. I got like 3 things I have to read on top of the video editing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, like, we're reading through, it's kind of like a longer book, so, like, it's not like you have to read the whole fucking thing. Like, we've only gotten through, like, a third of it at this point. Here, I'll send you the link to the text. We're reading the Philosophical Investigations. Have you ever heard of it?
Philosophical Investigations? I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
Oh my god, it is so good. Okay, wait. This is actually a PDF. Wait, let me...
I am about a page in, and let me tell you, it's really good.
It's so fucking good. Like, I can't even, it's, oh my god, it's just so amazing. And it changed my life. Like, it actually changed my life. Because it was one of, like, the first philosophy classes I took in college, and we read this thing. And, oh my god. And it was just, oh my god. It was...
oh my god. It was, oh my god.
Shut up! No, have you ever...
It was like, wow. It was like, whoa, oh my god. Like, wow.
Whatever, I sent you the PDF. It's in the server, but I'm not going to expect you... Oh,
where did you send it at?
I DM'd it to you. It's also in the server, but I didn't know how to send it any other way. I'm sorry.
You said in the server or in DMs?
It is in DM. It is in DMs, but it's taking a while to upload. There it goes. There we go. There you go. But it is in the server, but it doesn't matter, too, because you should be. If you look in the reading schedule, everything should be linked there, but it doesn't matter because it's a little ways up. Anyways, Tree, what do you know about Wittgenstein?
He's German.
Is that really all you know?
That's all I know.
Okay, so he is really interested in language, and some great quotes by him are stuff like all problems of philosophy are problems in language, are misunderstandings of language. This is great. In his other work, which is he himself, first thing that Wittgenstein was famous for was something called the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, where he basically was talking about how there could be a perfect language, that just perfectly represented anything, basically like kind of, like logic. And that, like, there are things that logic can't talk about, like ethics and stuff, and that means that, like, we just can't talk about it. Like, it's not worth talking about. And famously, his very last proposition in that book is, whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. Basically, like, well, we can't talk about it because we can't, use logic to talk about it. So it's a non-problem because.
I feel like this is a small brain take.
Well, no, but
because there's things like outside of linguistics that, like, so there are things that we can express outside of linguistics, right? So, like, for example, like art, right? I've recently taken the definition that art is anything that can't be expressed in words, or like art. So like writing is an art, but like the music, right?
I just wanted to say really quick. I'm sorry. Just so you know, we are recording this. That's
fine. It's fine.
Just make sure.
Like certain types of music and music is a great example. So there are emotions that you can express in music that there's no way you can even begin to describe in words, right?
A couple of things.
Language has failures, but to say that every failure or everything that we have
I just really need to. I just need you to also know that what I just said, this Tractatus, Wittgenstein later in his life was, wow, that was complete bullshit.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's where we get to the investigations, which is what we're reading now, which is amazing, where he talks about how oh god, I can't even. He talks about there is no
sentence there.
What?
You
I'm
can't
sorry.
even.
It's I can't even.
Unable to even.
I know, but he talks about how language can't be reduced to some exact perfect thing, how there isn't something that exists, some structure that exists behind language. Like, language is exactly how it is and how it appears to us. Like, we shouldn't try to, you know, there's no use in or point.
The way to describe it is like, let's say you're looking through a window to the outside, right? Like, and on the outside, you know, there's like a whole world out there, like everything you see, right? But the only information you have of that world are the things you can see through the window, right? The things you can observe, and you can get a lot of information out of this. But there are failures, so a better way to put this is like, you have two people in a room. The rooms are entirely different with entirely different worlds, right? Like, let's say a window to another universe, right? You can look through it. You can extrapolate a ton of theories, and someone can convey information to you through this window. But you can't actually know exactly what's in that world without you are blockaded by the limitations of the window itself, like of how you're perceiving it.
This reminds me of something that a quote. I think he talks about. Oh gosh. He talks about like something about like looking through glasses or something. Just a second. Sorry. Let's see. And it reminds me of Kant, honestly, because Kant was saying how the structure of our mind is like the looking glass through which we interpret reality, blah, blah, blah. And that's blah, 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 all this stuff about that. It reminded me of that.
I gotta run to the store, and then I gotta record, like, a bunch of audio tonight. So if you guys need me, DM me. Just send me the recording of this conversation when I get back.
Will do.
All right, it'll be posted.
Okay, that works. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Wow. That was great. So much, she just comes in, just great. Okay. But the quote I was thinking of was, yes, if we need him for anything, yes. Oh, yes, we'll definitely need him for something.
Oh, I forgot to get milk. I should DM him.
Huh? Oh, yeah! Okay, so actually, I'll just read it, even though he's not even fucking here. 103, Proposition 103, I guess, Section 103. He says, the ideal, as we conceive of it, is unshakable. You can't step outside it. You must always turn back. There is no outside. Outside you cannot breathe. How come? The idea is like a pair of glasses on our nose through which we see whatever we look at. It never occurs to us to take them off. And so the context of this, actually this is so relevant to what we were just talking about. Fuck. Oh, this is awesome. Because he's talking about like logic and like its relationship to language. So he's talking about I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep reading. Do you mind if I do that?
Sure.
No.
So this is, I'm going to take a step back. This is Proposition 100. So this is him, sort of like dialogue style, like talking about something a random person might say. Still, it isn't a game at all if there is some vagueness in the rules. And then he says, but is it really not a game then? He said, the response is, well, perhaps you'll call it a game, but at any rate, it isn't a perfect game. And then Wittgenstein says, this means then it has been contaminated. And what I am interested in now is what it was that was contaminated. But I want to say, we must misunderstand the role played by the ideal in our language. That is to say, we too would call it a game. Only we are dazzled by the ideal and therefore fail to see the actual application of the word game clearly. We want to say that there can't be any vagueness in logic. The idea now absorbs us that the ideal must occur in reality. At the same time, one doesn't as yet see how it occurs there and doesn't understand the nature of this must. We think the ideal must be in reality, for we think we already see it there. The strict and clear rules for the logical construction of a proposition appear to us as something in the background. hidden in the medium of understanding. I already see them, even though through a medium. For I do understand the sign. I mean something by it. And then what I was saying earlier, the ideal as we conceive of it is unshakable. You can't step outside it. You must always turn back. There is no outside. Outside you cannot breathe. The idea is like a pair of glasses on our nose through which we see whatever we look at. It never occurs to us to take them off. So I don't know if I was listening to someone read that, I would not have internalized that at all. I'll be honest with you. Did you guys?
Yeah, I have the thing open.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I can read it.
And sorry, my translation is mildly different.
You know what? It's interesting because it seems like there were two different translations, but that almost all of the wording is the same.
Well, no, my translation is it's just an update of that translation.
Oh, never mind. Okay, that explains that.
Yeah.
They updated a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry I'm not using the same one, but I actually, this is a physical book I have, and
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I just really prefer reading physical books.
Fair. Interesting. Okay.
So, I mean, I think this is getting at the idea that, like, there's no such thing as a perfect language.
Okay.
The ideal is something we think exists in everything, but it actually doesn't. Like, the ideal is completely made up.
I agree with that.
So my question is, I think that this is a good example of how ideals that we have are made up. But the question is, how would you go about showing that you can't have an ideal which... How do I... Okay, I want to be very specific here. How do you go about showing that in order to... Yeah, how do you go about showing that you can't have an ideal connected to reality directly, which does make logical sense?
First of all, I just have made this observation, and I mean, I do the same thing, but I feel like I can hear you think as you talk.
Yeah, no, I definitely do that.
Which is fine, because that's what I do. I need you to say that again.
It's funny. In the process of coming up with how to word something, I usually clarify it to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the question to restate quite clearly is, how do you go, like, this is a good example of how there's vagueness in what he's saying, how there can be vagueness in ideals, right? But how do you go about showing that you can't have an ideal which is direct?
Wait, sorry, I'll let you finish, sorry.
Yeah, how do you go about showing that you can't have an ideal which is directly connected to reality, which doesn't have that vagueness?
Well, let me rephrase again. He says, we want to say that there can't be any vagueness in logic. The idea now absorbs us that the ideal must occur in reality. At the same time, one doesn't as yet see how it occurs there and doesn't understand the nature of this must. We think the ideal must be in reality, for we think we already see it there. So, wait, I guess that doesn't quite answer your question. I mean, he's not even saying, like, whether or not it's there. He's saying we have this strong, belief that it does correspond. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and this is kind of just because of how language forms in people's heads, right? Like, we understand language by seeing a bunch of examples of something, like when we're young, or not always when we're young, sometimes when we're older too. Like, that's how you learn words. You see a bunch of examples of a thing.
I'm so sad that, like, Milcom and Riemann aren't here because we had a lovely discussion. We had a lovely discussion because we're prepping for the Hegel stuff and talking about the universal versus the specific in Hegel, like his interpretation of things. And this just reminds me of that a little bit. Wait a minute. Let me read. I'll just continue to read. So this is section 105.
All right.
When we believe that we have to find that order, the ideal, in our actual language, We become dissatisfied with what are ordinarily called sentences, words, signs. The sentence and the word that logic deals with are supposed to be something pure and clear-cut, and now we rack our brains over the nature of the real sign. Is it perhaps the idea of the sign, or the idea at that present moment?
Wait. Can I actually stop you for a sec? What the fuck does that mean?
What the fuck does what mean?
I've understood all of this up to here pretty well, but like I don't understand what he means by the real sign.
Let me continue reading for a second.
Okay.
I think he's talking about like, you know, when he says real sign, I think it's another word for an unideal sign. Like he's saying like we think of like the ideal as like the real form of the sign.
Okay. Yeah. No. I get it. Okay. Got it.
That's
so
why
when he says like the real sign, he's talking about like a word in language that we use like informally.
Or he's saying like basically like the words we use informally are signs, but like the real sign is like not like our messy use of words. It's like the actual core supposedly existing structure of like language, you know, the ideal language. Like I think that's what he's saying there. Cause like when he uses the emphasis of real sign, I think he's sort of being,
okay.
He's not saying there is a real sign. Cause he says, and now we rack our brains over the nature of the real sign. Like he's being a little sarcastic, I think.
Got it. Okay. So it's like, he's saying it's like it reminds me of, like he's basically not necessarily meaning to, making fun of a lot of stuff.
Oh, he's making fun of himself.
Yeah, also that. He's making fun of like trying to come up with strong lines on things that you can't really give them to.
Yeah, like clear boundaries, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I just want to read a little. I mean, the thing is, like, he says it so well that I feel like you could just read Wittgenstein and we could just go through it and it would just be great. I'm so sorry if this is not fun. I mean.
What? No, this is fun.
Okay.
Well, it's fun for me.
Yeah. Anarch Coomer, gal.
I don't know about you, Anarch Coomer, gal.
No, this is extremely unfun. I'm about to leave. I hate you guys.
Oh. Wait, are you in Australia?
No.
You said you were in Australia.
I am. What, the accent's not Australian?
Yeah.
I moved here 2 years ago.
Oh, from where? If you don't mind.
Well, actually, I moved around a lot. So before that, I was in New Zealand for 8 months, so I didn't pick up the accent from there either. But and 8 years of my life was spent in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
And that's
interesting.
probably the strongest
cool.
influence.
That's cool.
Yeah, your accent is very nondescript. It did seem like, you've been to different places.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
Thanks, I guess.
So I'll read the next section, 106. So like, he's saying like, what is the nature of the real sign? Is it perhaps the idea of the sign? Here it is difficult to keep our heads above water, as it were, to see that we must stick to matters of everyday thought and not to get on the wrong track where it seems that we have to describe extreme subtleties, which again we are quite unable to describe with the means at our disposal. We feel as if we had to repair a torn spider's web with our fingers. The more closely, I know, I love, dude, he's so good. He is so fucking good. Like, oh my god, like his quote, saying a word is like striking a note on the keyboard of the imagination. That's one of the analogies he uses. Fucking great.
When we were trying to put a little box around the word game, I did feel like I was trying to repair a torn spider's web with my fingers.
Right? And then the next thing, the more closely we examine actual language, the greater becomes the conflict between it and our requirement. For the crystalline purity of logic was, of course, not something I had discovered. It was a requirement. The conflict becomes intolerable. The requirement is now in danger of becoming vacuous. We have got onto slippery ice where there is no friction, and so, in a sense, the conditions are ideal. But also, just because of that, we are unable to walk. We want to walk, so we need friction. Back to the rough ground. We see that what we call proposition language has not the formal unity that I imagined, but is a family of structures more or less akin to one another. But what becomes of logic now? Its rigor seems to be giving way here. But in that case, doesn't logic altogether disappear? For how can logic lose its rigor? Of course, not by our bargaining any of its rigor out of it. Of course, not by our bargaining any of its rigor out of it. I can't say that right. I'm sorry.
Of course not by our bargaining any of its rigor out of it.
Yeah, maybe that's how you say it. Sorry. The preconception of crystalline purity can only be removed by turning our whole inquiry around. One might say the inquiry must be turned around, but on the pivot of our real need. And then... Okay, here we go. The sense in which philosophy of logic speaks of sentences and words is no different from that in which we speak of them in ordinary life when we say, for example, what is written here is a Chinese sentence, or no, that only looks like writing. No, that only looks like writing. It's actually just ornamental, and so on. We're talking about the spatial and temporal phenomenon of language, not about some non-spatial, atemporal non-entity. Only it is possible to be interested in a phenomenon. Wait, what?
Note in margin.
Only it is possible to be interested in a phenomenon in a variety of ways. I don't fucking know. But we talk about it as we do about the pieces in chess when we are stating the rules for their moves, not describing their physical properties. The question, what is a word really, is analogous to what is a piece in chess? I could just keep going. I could just keep reading.
Yeah.
I love this.
What if instead of just having like 2-hour readings, we just devoted like 15 hours a week, like entire days, just going around reading, and like whenever somebody wanted to like interrupt, they could just start talking.
You know what? Maybe I should just make an audiobook of the investigations.
Yeah, let's just get a bot in here to play a YouTube video of the investigations while we have it open ourselves, and let's just listen to it, and then we can just pause it whenever we want and just start discussing.
I mean, honestly, like, if only we had the time for that, right?
If only.
If we did, that would be
the ideal format.
I agree. It would, but you know.
The problem is, technically, we do have the time, but we don't have the time contiguously and all at once in the same place.
I mean, reading things aloud and go through it step by step with other people would take longer than reading it alone.
Yeah.
Like, way longer.
That's fair.
Like, way longer. But it would also be really fun. But let's not.
Man, what if reading clubs were actually just the way that you like read something in class?
Disposable.
Something. Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Your status is currently very. Oh, you got rid of it. The XKCD comic was good.
Oh, no, it's still there. I just didn't set my status to online. There we go. Yeah.
Did you do the reading?
Did I do the reading? I did.
Wonderful.
Oh my gosh! Now we officially have a majority of people in this have read the actual thing. Great.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, great. Something.
It only took 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, right? What did you think of it? And I'll just let you. Yeah. What did you think of it?
Okay, so before I read ahead, and I don't know at which point was what I was actually supposed to do. So I need to double check that.
Up through 184, I believe.
184.
You could have sworn you said 188.
I thought it was 188, but it's 184.
What the fuck? Okay.
1 sec. Let me see what he's talking about.
Oh wait, was I wrong? Was it actually 188?
No, you said 184.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm big gay. My homosexuality dwarfs yours.
Also, sorry if I'm interrupting what you guys.
No, it's fine. I was just reading through, like around the section 100, where he's talking about.
Came through it like a relatively good stopping point.
Yeah. So yes, please.
Okay. 80. So 83.
84 is where we ended it. But yeah, that's where the official reading was.
Gotcha. Oh, when he's talking about like what it means to know something.
Yeah, or to understand. What is understanding? Oh my god. Okay, but I need to know, what feelings do you have when you read the text? Are they just, I don't want to, how? Yeah.
What feelings do I have?
Are they positive?
Yes, it's.
Like, do you think it's good? Do you think this is a good book?
I do. I think I might have said this the first time. And if I did, sorry for repeating myself. I just don't remember if I said it. But it holds true for this part too, and really for everything that I've read in this. These are all like thoughts that I think I've had at certain points in my life, but just like articulated in an actually like understandable way.
Yeah.
And to that end, to being able, even though what he's saying, he's basically just illustrating all the ways in which like language is imprecise, which, even though it seems obvious, I think communicating it in as direct of a way as he is useful.
Well, he's clarifying a lot of things that normally are kind of muddied, at least for me. Like, these ideas are not, like, it's like reading it, it's not like he changes my mind on anything. Like, he doesn't change my mind at all. He's like, oh, that's how it actually is. Like, that's how it actually is. Like, that's everything, every time I read something, that's how I feel. That's the emotion I get.
Gotcha.
I love it. Oh my god. I love it so much. I do think later on he gets to some things that are more, I don't want to say controversial, but like, it's not just like simply like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that's right. It's like there are some things where you can think, okay, I might have there might be some way to disagree with what he's saying, even though he's actually just straight up right. But
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. But I just love, and I was saying this earlier, sorry for repeating myself all the time, I love the way he goes through like for instance, when he talks about what it is like when you read something, like what is reading, and the way he tries to go about describing it is like actually giving a really detailed account of the experience of reading. You know, he isn't trying to like analyze the concept itself or whatever. He's just saying, this is what it is like when people read. This is what it feels like. What does that say about reading? I mean, oh my god, it's just so good. And I think it's the most honest and way to talk about language. You know, rather than trying to break it down or, you know, project it onto some crystalline, pure, logical form. He's actually he's taking it as it is, as it actually is.
And that's the thing. Language can't really be broken down concretely in that way because it's fundamentally defined by how people use it, and because it evolves with time. Yeah. And because it evolves with time, you can't really compartmentalize the concept and say and make it as concrete just because when the concept itself describes an abstraction of its usage, which is not concrete in and of itself in each individual case, as he talks about. So attempts to make the entirety, like the concept of language into like a concrete system, I don't think really work because of that.
Well, it just stops being what the language actually is.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah.
So maybe we shall return to how this whole meeting began when I was asking people to define understanding. And because you have read the text, I asked Gal, and Gal was like, I don't know. So, whatever. But I feel like you may have an answer or something. Sorry, Gal. I'm hoping you realize I'm not just shitting on you. I hope you realize that.
No, that's okay. I just deserve it.
But you know what, Gal? I have to say something about you. I really respect, like, you're so, like, I feel like you're so genuine, like, when you don't understand something, you're just so honest about it, but it doesn't come across, like, as ignorance or anything. You're just so, I really dig it. I think it's really nice. I just feel the need to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's now something disposable.
Okay, this might seem like a bullshit cop-out answer.
Oh, no.
And in a way, I think understanding is an abstract measurement of agreement between two or more entities.
Ooh.
Which I know kind of avoids the whole question of how do you okay, if it's an abstract measurement, now measure it.
That's great.
You can't.
No. That's really good. That's really, really good. I like that a lot. I like that. Understanding is that as abstract measurement of agreement. Oh my God, yeah. I mean, is that something you had always thought, or you think it was inspired by what you read, or do you think it helped you articulate it after reading it? Like,
probably, yeah. This isn't something I've thought really to ask before until reading this. Mm-hmm. And the conclusion I kind of came to is understanding can only really. So if you were just alone, without any other agents to interact with, mm-hmm. I would say that any input, sensory input or thoughts you could have would sort of constitute complete understanding of your experience, because obviously all of the information that makes up the thing you're examining makes up you. But when you introduce another agent into it with its own, I guess, means of understanding that totality of their experience, then in practical terms, like if you're using language as a communication tool, understanding really describes the kind of the overlap between those two understandings, like as it relates to concepts.
Is understanding possible if you don't have multiple people? Like true understanding. Because the thing is, like, I would say, because we were earlier talking about a private language. I don't know how far you read ahead if he gets into that anytime soon.
I just started that part.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah.
Because I think understanding, there are we use the term in different ways. Like, one of the ways is it describes an internal experience. Understanding is a feeling. We feel an emotion of understanding. And actually, like, here, this is section 160. But imagine the following case. We give someone who can read fluently a text that he has never seen before. He reads it to us, but with the feeling of saying something he has learnt by heart. This might be the effect of some drug. Would we say in such a case that he was not really reading the passage? That is, would we here allow his feelings to count as a criterion for his reading or not reading? Oh wait, this isn't exactly what I thought it was about. Which is still interesting. He's still interesting.
Yeah.
But I think in this case what he's talking about is the difference of why, like, understanding as a feeling isn't useful. Because he's talking about how, like, someone can be reading and, like, feel like the way they feel doesn't change what's actually happening necessarily.
Yes.
And so, like, that's, like, similar to how with understanding, you can feel like you understand an equation or how to apply an equation. You can, like, look at it and it's like, oh, I think I know how to do it. But ultimately, until you actually apply it and correctly, until your behavior, matches up with, the rule of applying that equation.
Yeah.
You can't be said to truly understand it. And so, yeah.
That does make sense. And I think that was one of the things that I hadn't really thought about, is like understanding as an emotion.
Yeah.
And I think people rely on that a lot more than like an intellectual understanding of the language involved with a particular idea. That didn't make sense. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I wasn't even listening. I kind of got distracted because I'm looking for some places in the text where he's talking about understanding.
Yeah.
Like I'm around section, like where the section's like 150, around there. So, or I guess 147 actually. He's talking about what is knowledge. I think I was actually reading from here, around here earlier, maybe, maybe not. So in 146, he's referring to whether or not a student can like write the numbers in a correct series, like 0, 1, 2, count, whether a student can count. Suppose now ask, has he, the student, understood the system if he continues the series to the 100th place? Or, if I shouldn't speak of understanding in our primitive language game, has he got the system if he continues the series correctly up to this point? Perhaps you will say here, to have got the system, or again, to understand it, can't consist in continuing the series up to this or that number. That is only applying one's understanding. Understanding itself is a state which is the source of the correct use. What is one really thinking of here? Isn't one thinking of the derivation of a series from its algebraic formula, or at least of something analogous? But this is where we were before. We can indeed think of more than one application of an algebraic formula, and while every mode of application can in turn be formulated algebraically, this, of course, does not get us any further. The application is still a criterion of understanding. But how can it be? When I say I understand the rule of a series, I'm surely not saying so on the basis of the experience of having applied the algebraic formula in such and such a way. In my own case, at any rate, I surely know that I mean such and such a series, no matter how far I've actually developed it. So you mean that you know the application of the rule of the series quite apart from remembering the actual applications to particular numbers. And you'll perhaps say, of course, for the series is infinite, and the bit of it that I could develop, finite. But what does this knowledge consist in? Let me ask, when do you know that application? Always, day and night, or only while you are actually thinking of the rule of the series? Do you know it, that is, in the same way as you know the alphabet and the multiplication table? Or is what you call knowledge a state of consciousness or a process, say a thinking of something, or the like? If one says that knowing the ABC is a state of the mind, one is thinking of a state of an apparatus of the mind, perhaps a state of the brain, by means of which we can explain the manifestations of that knowledge. Such a state is called a disposition. but it is not unobjectionable to speak of a state of the mind here, inasmuch as there would then have to be two different criteria for this. Finding out the structure of the apparatus as distinct from its effects. Nothing would be more confusing here than to use the words conscious and unconscious for this contrast between a state of consciousness and a disposition, for this pair of terms covers up a grammatical difference. And then, I could just keep going, but that's one last thing. Understanding a word is a state, but a mental state? We call dejection, excitement, pain, mental states. Carry out a grammatical investigation as follows. We say, he felt dejected the whole day. He was in great excitement the whole day. He has been in pain uninterruptedly since yesterday. We also say, since yesterday I have understood this word. Uninterruptedly, though? To be sure, one can speak of an interruption of understanding. But in what cases? Compare, when did your pains get less? And, when did you stop understanding that word? What if one asked, when can you play chess? All the time, or just while you are making a move, and the whole of chess during each move? And how odd that being able to play chess should take such a short time and a game so much longer. Oh my god, I just want to keep going and going, but I'm not going to because but I think that's interesting. Like, I don't know. Did anybody get anything out of that? It's okay.
I don't know how related a thought I just had is.
It's okay.
To that passage.
That's
but
fine.
Probably not much, but that feeling of understanding we were talking about before.
Yeah.
I think that feeling can be characterized as the absence of doubt. Probably. And
I think that's just saying the same thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to frame it that way.
I think you can understand and have doubt. I think you can have both. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
I mean, the thing I think about, and the reason I think about understanding as a feeling, I don't know if any of you guys have, like, tripped on acid or anything like that. But, like, one of the experiences you have is feeling like you get everything. Like, you just feel like you understand. Like, everything just makes sense. It is distinctly separated from any kind of knowledge at all. Like, practical knowledge.
Yeah.
But you feel understanding. And that's why I think it's so powerful to separate understanding, like the concept, into the feeling and the actual behavior that represents understanding, or that we call understanding. And thinking about, like, how, like, practically speaking, so let's, like, ignoring the emotion of understanding. Oh my god, I just want to keep reading, but I can't. I'm just going to try and find something that I'm looking for.
I think the definition of understanding that as an emotion, I think you can apply it to everything else.
What do you mean, everything
All
else?
of it biased, because, like, my entire framework of reality basically agrees with this conception of understanding, but not just for understanding. So, at the most fundamental level, much like understanding and, let's say, knowing and, well, all other experiences can just be boiled down to, let's call it, these feelings, or I just call them intuitions. And there's nothing that isn't that at a fundamental level. So you can always take whatever phenomena you think exists and boil it down to your feeling of it, or your feelings towards it. Or I don't think understanding is the only application of this mode of thinking, of being unable to distinguish between the feeling of X and X.
Well, I think that there is you can distinguish it, though.
I don't think so. I think they're exactly the same thing. But,
No,
okay, how would you distinguish it?
Well, because, all right, just a second. Let me see if I can find the section.
Okay, in the meantime, when you say feeling, what are you purely talking about emotional experiences, or is it something broader?
Yeah, it's broader.
Okay.
I guess you could, the best word I have for it is intuition, but I feel
Gotcha.
maybe there's a better word for it. Yeah, but I hope you get where I'm going.
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think maybe he only really goes into this when he's talking about what it means to actually read. Like, he uses reading as the analogy for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh, is it awful that I'm just reading this stuff? Like, it's okay if it is. Like, I really want you to tell me if it is. If it's not productive.
I'm okay.
I think, well...
Something, yes, please, something. Tell me, yeah. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be offended.
I know which part you're talking... I don't think there's an answer broadly to that. Because, like, I know which part I think you're talking about, but if other people don't...
Other people haven't read it, except for Gal.
Oh.
Gal's read it.
Oh, okay,
see,
yeah, that probably is a good idea.
Yeah, see, that's the issue. Oh, sorry, I almost fell. I'm so sorry. Okay, all right. So this is 157. All right.
All right.
Consider the following case. We use human beings, or creatures of some other kind, as reading machines. They are trained for this purpose. The trainer says of some that they can already read, of others that they cannot yet do so. Take the case of a pupil who has so far not participated in the training. If he is shown a written word, he will sometimes produce random sounds, and now and again the sounds will accidentally come out roughly right. A third person hears this pupil on such an occasion and says, he is reading. But the teacher says, no, he isn't reading. That was just an accident. But let's suppose that this pupil continues to react correctly to further words that are put before him. After a while, the teacher says, now he can read. But what of that first word? Is the teacher to say, I was wrong, he did read it after all? Or, he only began really to read later on? When did he begin to read? Which was the first word that he read? This question makes no sense here. Unless, indeed, we stipulate, the first word that a person reads is the first word of the first series of 50 words that he reads correctly, or something of the sort. If, on the other hand, we use reading to stand for a certain experience of transition from marks to spoken sounds, then it certainly makes sense to speak of the first word that he really read. He can then say, for example, at this word, for the first time, I had the feeling, now I am reading. Or again, in the different case of a reading machine which translated marks into sounds, perhaps as a pianola does, it would be possible to say the machine read only after such and such had happened to it, after such and such parts had been connected by wires. The first read that it read was. But in the case of the live reading machine, reading meant reacting to written signs in such and such ways. So this concept was quite independent of that of a mental or other mechanism. Nor can the teacher here say of the trainee, perhaps he was already reading when he said that word, for there is no doubt about what he did. The change when the pupil began to read was a change in his behavior, and it makes no sense here to speak of a first word in his new state. It's so good. Oh, so good. Oh my god. I could keep going. Any thoughts on that? I can read more to elaborate more. I can just...
Hi, I'm back. I never said I was going.
Oh my god, you just missed... Ugh! I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Oh my god. Anar Kumar, what did you think?
I'm gonna read all of this later.
I know. That's fine. What did you think, Anar Kumar?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't this agree with what we were saying before? Yeah, it all boils down to just feelings. Feelings don't care about your facts, basically.
I do see what you're saying, and I very much agree with it, but I'm not exactly sure that it's helpful to necessarily call... no, never mind. I was about to say it's not helpful to call that mechanism a feeling, but no, it is. I think I pretty much entirely agree with you. The mechanisms we use to experience ideas are like communicated back to us through changes in our experiences when we encounter those ideas, and those changes manifest in the form of feelings.
I'm a bit of an extremist. I think that the only thing that is there is those changes in experiences. There is no external...
Are you an idealist?
...reality separate from it. No, I'm quite the opposite. Yeah, so there is no real understanding, no real reading, no real thing which our perception is representing. Reality is this set of feelings that we have, and that's all there is to it. And, well, obviously I could be wrong, but it's indistinguishable to feel something is real than something being real. Those two things.
It's indistinguishable by us.
Well, it's indistinguishable by that single observer, like from your viewpoint. But in like when you're viewing it, and I'm going to use the term objectively, but what I mean is when you're viewing it not from the point of a subjective point of view, but you're viewing reality, you know, like an account of reality that from multiple viewpoints.
So you're saying, like, you can approach objectiveness using agreement across multiple observers?
Well, that's exactly how I define objectivity. I mean, the way you get objective knowledge, it's through the methodology of multiple subjective views coming together and agreeing on something. That's the only. I mean, you missed. Oh wait, which one would that have been? Was that what was it like to be a bat early on? I think it was one of our earlier readings. Ugh. I got to get really mad about how people say things are objectively true to mean things are actually true, when really all it means is that objective truth is just agreed upon truth. It's not, or agreed upon states of how things are.
So, like, basically coherence.
Coherence?
Yeah, between the agents in question.
Yeah.
Or the observers. Yeah, well, there's the problem. This conception suffers the exact same problem, I think, as believing in an objective reality that's kind of idealist. Because there is no other observer. There is, first of all, your perception of those observers. Second of all, your perception of them agreeing. You have this idea of agreement, and you have a feeling that what they are doing is agreeing. And then you're too much
of a skeptic for me. I'm sorry. I don't think it's useful to keep questioning I think we have to just accept, like, at a certain point, if we want to talk about reality, we have to stop questioning, like,
I don't think that's a skepticism.
What is it then? It's something that I don't like.
I think
I don't like something about it. I don't know what it is.
I'm using the same principles that were used to chip away at these flawed conceptions of, let's say, understanding consistently. Like, I'm only being as skeptical as we have been so far. Since we're going to criticize. Yeah. I think
is
it's
it
the same
fair to
level
characterize? Oh, sorry.
Go on, sorry.
Okay. Is it fair to characterize these feelings as just the set of the, I guess, internal, for lack of a better word, internal language we use to represent ideas?
Well,
Like as analogous to...
It's upside down. So ideas are just manifestations of the internal state. It's not. The internal state is something we use to represent ideas. So the most fundamental thing are those intuitions.
So,
and then ideas are just those intuitions interacting with each other.
And our conception of ideas, which, because the only way, well, you said you're not an idealist, so ideas don't exist outside of perception, or outside of like an individual's perception of it. Those ideas are made up of, are defined by these feelings, right?
No, the thing is, you're kind of, the connotation you're giving, yeah, I agree with that, but I don't think of it in that, let's say, from that perspective.
Okay.
The most objective truth I believe in are those intuitions. That quote-unquote subjective experience, I think, is the most objective thing there is.
Gotcha.
So ideas, yes, they do exist more so than, let's say, the closet that's behind me that I can't see right now.
Yeah.
So the statement that the experience exists would be an objective truth, but the statement that the experience reflects reality wouldn't be. Is that right?
Under my framework of reality, these are the same thing. Reality is experience. So if an experience exists, then yeah, it's real. There's no reality.
Okay, then what do you call the shared thing that we're in, if not reality?
Oh, wait. Could you rephrase that?
Yeah, okay. So like, there's some sort of thing that has like space that I can move through, and that is being used to create waves that are being translated by electrical signals that are then going between my mouth and your ears. Like what is the what do you call? What's the word you use to describe that medium in which all of that is happening?
So yeah, okay. So what you're describing, let's say you believe it is true, but I would think of it as a model which approximates perception. So the scientific model basically uses our experiences as a method of approximating an external reality. I look at it like the other way around. So let's say our intuitions of space, time, I don't know what other examples you bring, other people than us, are just things we use to approximate what our perception is. So they're more fundamental than space existing is me feeling there is space. And the idea of space can be used to, let's say, predict my future perception. So I know if I go through the experience, which feels like letting go of a pen suspended in air, then I will then feel the perception of it falling.
I don't know. I have difficulty with the idea that is definitely more fundamental, because it's not
I'm not claiming it is.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming it is. I'm just saying that's it, working within this model, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And the only reason I choose this model is because it's the most resistant to skepticism. So
it depends on what you're saying it's most fundamental to.
The model itself. So I'm saying within this model. Because, so tell me I gave an example of, let's say, physical reality. I'm just saying, yes, if you assume physical reality to be, let's say, real at every level, then you're correct. But I don't even have that assumption.
So you are an idealist.
Well, can you define idealism?
Idealism is believing that your perceptions are basically the only reality, and like the real world, like physical world,
Okay, so my question, I guess, is my question for you is, in this model, how do you reckon with the concept that it might be possible, not even necessarily that it is possible, but that it might be possible for everybody to die, but for there to still be stuff that happens?
Well, first of all, in this model, if you're being rationally consistent, you have to be a solipsist. So, if I die, is the question.
Okay, fine.
I am everybody.
I did definitely acknowledge when I was saying that to myself without saying it out loud that probably you're only considering yourself here, but fucking everybody dying includes you.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Well, if we're working within this level of skepticism, which is obviously not very pragmatic, I would say no. That events outside of my own perception, such as, let's say, the universe continuing to exist after I die, there is no such thing. There isn't a universe.
Well, I don't know. I think that it makes more sense. I think that it does make sense to say you can't show that those events happen, but I don't think it makes sense to then take from there that those events aren't happening.
You could go along the route that what we mean when we say events happening and continuing to happen only exists because we can perceive it, and any statement about the future that we could make would also fall into that model in the same ways. So when we actually, if hypothetically he was to die, any conception he would have of that future would suddenly no longer exist, which isn't necessarily incompatible with what you're saying, because he's boiling everything down to internal experiences, whereas you're just modeling events as happening outside of experience and then causing experiences.
Okay. So I actually think I see what's going on here. I think that the thing is that I'm looking at things from the perspective of events causing experiences, and you're looking at things from the perspective of experiences as
there is
fundamental building block of understanding.
Okay, yeah, so let me just read, I think, and also, I came from idealism. No, this is about idealism, and it's actually subjective idealism. Let me just read from the wiki.
Okay.
Subjective idealism is a fusion of phenomenalism or empiricism, which confers special status upon immediately perceived, with idealism, which confers special status upon the immediately perceived, with idealism, which confers special status upon the mental. Idealism denies the knowability or existence of the non-mental, while phenomenalism serves to restrict the mental to the empirical. Subjective idealism thus identifies its mental reality with the world of ordinary experience, rather than appealing to the unitary world spirit of pantheism or absolute idealism. This form of idealism is subjective, not because it denies that there is an objective reality, but because it asserts that this reality is completely dependent upon the minds of the subjects that perceive it. I think it's that last sentence especially, that in our Kumar, would that sound kind of like what you're saying?
Yeah, I'd drop the S of subject stuff.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Of the subject that perceives it.
Yeah. I think in the... I'm conceptualizing this as if you were to think of the human brain as a computer, these feelings that you're talking about and these sensations would be akin to the fact that the standard computer stores information in binary, and these feelings are the equivalent of that binary language. To the computer, nothing exists outside of that.
Ooh.
I think you're already working within your, let's say, a different framework. I'm assuming whatever framework you roughly believe in. And so, when you say a computer, and let's say the actual the processes of the computers is whatever, electrons moving through wires, semiconductors, transistors. You're already assuming that external reality to the computer.
Okay.
And even if you're not, you're assuming like a certain set of rules by which the computer operates.
Am I?
Are you?
What set of rules? Like,
well, let's say the encoding of information is binary.
yes, yeah, that is something I'm assuming, and I'm also assuming in your model that the encoding of information for the human experience is with this what you're calling feelings and intuition.
Something was just using that as an analogy. He was saying that like the fact that let's say like assuming that like if we are an outside observer looking at how people can interpret reality, it's analogous to us looking at a computer. Like what consists of reality for people is like their internal experience, like you're saying. And like when you look at if you're an outside observer looking at a computer, all that the computer has going on in its head is the binary. That doesn't mean it's not. I think that's the analogy he was making. He wasn't saying like about how it is binary or like or how things actually are. Just saying like it's analogous to that.
So yeah, I would agree with. I think it's a good analogy of let's say comparing binary to a computer to let's say what I'm calling intuitions to me or the human experience, as you put it. And the only reason I kind of wanted to criticize that point is because you're already using like that framework of an external observer trying to look at the internal state. So it's such a hardwired thing intuitively to us. And that's kind of the whole point I'm making, is that it's just what we intuitively feel is true. It is so intuitively uncomfortable to not think of an external reality. It's nearly impossible.
Well, yeah, but the thing is
just an intuition.
It's not useful to talk about things without
utility. Utility is purely defined through intuitions.
It doesn't matter how it's defined. All that matters is we can't have any conversation if you just want to end every conversation with, well, like, it's just all feelings. Like, I mean, like, we have to, if we want to talk about something, we're going to have to make some assumptions, or at least say it seems to us as if there is an external reality, so we talk about it as if there was one. It seems to us that there are external observers, and it seems to us that they are also subjects like us, so we take that as having some kind of truth value or utility. I mean, I just... Yeah.
The analogy I use for this is, let's say you're a conception of an external reality and other people, etc., is like Newtonian physics. So we already know that it's not completely accurate. Quantum mechanics has disproven a lot of its claims. However, it works so bloody well. It works for everything.
I think honestly, it's not. That's actually not a good analogy. I think it's more like we. Oh wait, sorry. Just give me a second to think of what I wanted to say. Because I don't think that, because the way you make it sound like is that the way it actually, in fact, truly works is that there is only like personal subjective experience, that's the most real thing there is. And but that and that the idea that there is an external reality is analogous to Newtonian physics, and that it's good enough, but there are problems with it, like there are inconsistencies there. Whereas it seems to me, it's almost the opposite. Where like our experiences and intuitions about the world are less predictive of reality than the interpretation where there is a physical reality.
Well, first off, I can see how that came off, but I wasn't trying to imply that that let's say my model that I'm describing is what's more real than ideas on an external reality. It was just, at the very least, what I'm trying to get across is it is equally valid, this having the fundamental unit of reality being internal experience as believing in an objective reality. They're indistinguishable.
I totally agree with you. No, I totally agree with you. That's why I didn't like that analogy, because it implies one is more accurate than the other, and in fact it applies the one that is less reliable as being more accurate, and that's why I didn't.
Well, actually, on that point, it is Newtonian physics is still more useful. It is like, okay, first of all, I'm working from within my framework, so anything I say, assume you already believe my framework. I'm only proving it to be internally consistent. And Newtonian physics works better. You will never use, let's say, quantum mechanics principles in your daily life. So it is better from a pragmatic perspective. So, like your point about it not being useful, yeah, I agree with you there. So, let's say in day-to-day life, intuitively, I will use, let's say, I will act as if I believe in an external reality, because that's what feels right to me. But I also acknowledge that I can't prove that this feeling is anything but that.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, so it is more of an assumption than a truth.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm with you in the sense, like, the way I am, I don't think there's any justification for believing anything is real except for our immediate experience. But I think functionally I am a physicalist, because it's just like, even if I can't have any justification for believing that there is a physical reality, I mean, I think...
I do think that you should probably clarify the difference between, like, proof and justification, because I think there actually is justification for believing in a physical reality.
Proof.
There's not
proof. Then proof. Fine. Proof. Yeah. That's what I meant.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah. No,
like, it's possible that I said that, and you said no, you meant what you said.
I just think sometimes, Anar Kumar, when you start bringing up, like, oh, well, we can't know about the perceiving, like, I think it's just missing the point. I mean, I just think like that, like, we are already long past assuming that, like, some of the things you're questioning, like.
So,
but
if you were to
forgive me if I'm sounding mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just.
No,
I hope you understand. I respect you intellectually, and I talk this way because I respect you intellectually.
Well, I don't respect you intellectually.
I don't care what you think, because I don't respect you intellectually. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the thing I'm trying to do isn't like to break down everything we know. The entire reason I came up with this kind of framework of reality is I was trying to allow, let's say, those useful things, such as believing in the world around me, believing in other people, etc., in a way that is logically consistent still. So we know if we can be skeptical of, like, anything. We can't know that anything exists outside of our immediate perception. But how do we reconcile that fact with, well, we still act as if, we know that there's an external world. We know that there exists a future self, and that our memory is roughly approximates what actually happened in the past, and that there is a past. So instead of looking at things as having this idea of, okay, so there's this real world, and this is what's absolutely true, and then our experience is just our interpretation of that. Rather flipping it on its head and saying, okay, so this real world is our experience, so it is real. Mm-hmm. We feeling that there is an external reality, that means it does exist, and
Wait. This feeling? Wait. Yeah.
I don't think that. I think that it's really important to distinguish between saying that the feeling that something exists is real, mm-hmm. and saying that the thing itself is real. Does that make sense?
Well, no. So, what you just said is, like, feeling that it exists means that it exists. That's what it sounded like you said, rather than
Because you guys are using different definitions of exist.
Well, I can account for that. Just one more thing. The disparity that we see. So let's say, I don't think anyone here agrees that whatever you feel is real, correct?
Yeah, nobody agrees with that.
Depends on what you mean by real.
Okay. Yeah, but let's just use an intuitive definition, whatever. The problems that arise, let's say, optical illusions, what's happening, the way I frame it is there is a intuition of higher precedence or higher up on the list of intuitions, which contradicts it. So when, let's say, you acknowledge a feeling as something that wasn't real, it was just an intuition that you had which was stronger, which contradicted with it, so you discarded it. For example, if you saw a mirage, a body of water, and then you approached it more closely, and you discovered, no, there was no water. What's actually happening is you trust your current self, which is right in front of what you thought was the water, than the memory that you had of seeing what you thought was water. So you discarded the intuition that was of lesser priority to you. And that's what it is.
So does that mean that the water used to be real and then stopped being real? Like if that's what you're saying, then I'm actually okay with that. Like, that seems okay.
No.
It's just like...
Whoa. No, that's not what I'm saying. When you work with a definition of real, I think it always has to be pragmatic. So, yeah, pragmatically, the water didn't exist. But if you're working at the most fundamental level, you had experiences of feeling the water is real. And then, I'm assuming, there's passage of time here, but it's very difficult to phrase without it. And then you had a feeling of it not being real anymore. So
okay. And both of those feelings were completely real.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I think that if I was to, like, the way that I'm understanding what you're trying to say is basically that the most real things are the experiences that I have, and that the most real things are the experiences that I have, and everything else is just probably real. Never mind. I worded that terribly.
It's all good.
I think you were close, but I'd add one more nuance to that, is that the most real things are what our most fundamental intuitions tell us. Because not every we acknowledge some feelings aren't real. And if we feel that way, like, it creates a self-contradiction. I'm not saying every feeling is real. I'm saying we have a set of intuitions, some more important than others. And the only time something is false is when a lower tier intuition contradicts a higher tier one. For example, if you were told something, that the sky is purple, and you've never been outside, then you believe that the sky is purple. However, you go outside and then see that the sky is in fact blue, at least during the daytime. You trust the intuition which forms your sight. Well, I'm calling sight intuition, experience, whatever. That has a higher priority than the information you were told. So you discard that information of the sky being purple, instead believing it is blue.
Okay. And then this is really interesting, because it also means that you can have higher intuitions about your own mental processes. So, for instance, you can have experiences, and you can disbelieve those experiences because of an understanding of your own biases. Like, for instance, you could disbelieve the experience of an illusion.
Yeah, exactly.
You were talking about that earlier. Okay, got it. In that case, you could disbelieve the experience of an illusion. without the mirage ever dissipating by understanding how and when mirages occur.
Yeah, and if you believe in that, let's say, conception more strongly than you believe what you saw. But if let's say you were like a very simple being and your one assumption was everything I see is real, you would never not stop believing in that mirage, because that's just your most fundamental.
Okay, so in that case, you would believe that the water faded out of existence.
No, you would believe the water was there. Yeah, okay, let's say, and you come up with an explanation.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't disagree with your perception.
So is this that assumes that this agent is assuming that everything that they cannot experience is necessarily not real, right?
That's only if that's what they intuitively feel. But you can have an agent. I'm describing a universal rule for all agents is that, let's say an agent does have, well, for example, humans, we do have intuitions about external reality and that it does exist, and space, for example, exists and we can move through it. In spite of the fact that they have nothing to prove these outside of feeling that they are the feelings about them, those intuitions.
I have a question, Anar Kumar.
They are just intuitive, yes.
What's your view on morality?
That was some random shit.
No, because I'm just thinking about the connection. Yeah, because
morality is exactly the same.
Okay, yeah. Because it's very similar to my intuitive deontology system.
That name.
It's a great name. Where I think that we have these intuitions about what's right and wrong, and we can't really provide justification for them. We just feel deeply that they are certain actions are the right thing to do. And I say intuitive deontology because my emphasis is on the fact that it's good to do these things because they are good. It's not about it's not about the results of the actions. It's not about, naturally wanting to do the good thing. It's the emphasis is on enforcing that whatever your intuition is about an action, whether you should do it or not, about enforcing that rule on yourself. That's why I emphasize the deontology part.
I actually mostly agree with the principle that the foundation of morality is a moral feeling, right? But I don't think that deontology specifically suggests that when you suggests that the focus of those moral feelings is on the specific actions and the morality of those actions, right? But I don't think that this accounts very well for the possibility of a moral intuition which relates not to an action but to a principle of action.
Wait a minute. I don't know if I agree. But I'm not entirely sure on your definitions of various things.
Okay, so
by the way, this is super sidetracked for Wittgenstein, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, good point. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not necessarily saying that you have to agree. I just think that the way you conceive of morality is maybe a little too restrictive. I'm proposing a way that you could expand it and still have it basically be the same thing. When you talk about deontology, you're talking about basically a list, right? It's this action is wrong, this action is good, that kind of thing, right? But I think that you could reasonably expand this to somebody whose moral intuition tells them that you should always follow a certain principle when deciding how to act.
Well, here's something that I realize my intuitive deontology has some similarities to virtue ethics. Let me see. I sent this to something, actually. I sent this to you, remember?
Yes.
I'm just going to read out the message because I don't... maybe, and the thing is, I haven't read it over again, so it might be the kind of thing where I read it and I'm like, wait, this is not helpful in any way. But I'm just going to do it. Okay,
Right.
I just had a realization. I just had it, though, so I need to think on it. But I was thinking about core things I value. One is compassion, as in I want myself to be the kind of person that helps others who are experiencing great suffering. Emphasis on the great, it's not about all suffering. The second is loyalty, as I want to be the kind of person that treats those closer to me as special. The main place I feel this is in duty to my family. The third is honesty, as there are moments when I want to be the kind of person that forges genuine connection with others, and that genuine connection requires honesty. And I realize that I kind of sound like a virtue ethicist, but the key here is that I don't care about my natural inclinations. I only care about what I do. And I think it is good to do these things because they are good. So the emphasis on what makes an action moral is still deontologist, because the moral quality is in the doing it for the purpose of being good. I want to be such and such a kind of person because it is good. I don't care about naturally wanting to do the right thing. And then the last thing about this is that these values are... Oh, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. The rest of it doesn't matter.
I think the main problem here is that what you're calling intuitive deontology is actually just a description, with the way that you've expanded what it is at this point a little bit. What it actually is just a description of how morality works in general, not actually like any particular morality.
Well, yeah. That's how I decide what's moral. Is through intuitive deontology, I suppose. I think.
Yeah,
and the thing is, it's all based on my feelings, like what my intuitions are, that determine like the concrete, normative values or whatever.
What I'm saying though is, I guess this is like a starting point for forming like an idea of morality.
I don't need to have a formalized system of principles to follow. I just need to do what I think is right in the moment. And I can retroactively observe, it tends to be that I feel a strong moral feeling to be compassionate sometimes. It tends to be that I feel a strong moral feeling to be loyal to people. It tends to be that when I have a strong moral feeling, sometimes it's a desire to be honest. It's descriptions of ways that I feel, but it's not prescriptive at all. I want to be clear on that. It's me.
My graphics card just crashed.
There's a difference between thinking this is the mechanism for how you create morality, and then on top of that, generalizing those tendencies as they apply to you as an acting moral agent, and coming up with another framework to explain those tendencies, which isn't what freedom is doing.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The way kind of I look at it is, so there are intuitions of what's right and wrong. But in addition to that, so frequently, like what Somnia was describing, there's also this intuition, this desire to have consistency, universality. That's why we want to go from just, I feel this is right in the moment, I'm going to do it, to a framework.
I don't feel the need to have universality. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, exactly. So the difference here is that you don't have that intuition as something that fundamental, but other people do.
Wait, but if you don't feel the need to have universality, then doesn't that mean that whether or not under your system an action is ethical can be determined by your mood at the time?
Here's what I would say, and here's something. Okay, I don't think that universality is a necessary condition of it, but I have a feeling that my moral intuitions are consistent across, I don't know, maybe it does mean I think universality is important in a sense, but it's just, I have faith that these moral intuitions I have, and then I use that term intentionally, faith, because I don't have necessarily good reason, and I love Kierkegaard. I'm taking that leap of faith into the supra-ethical, if you all know what I'm talking about. Read Fear and Trembling. It's amazing. But these moral...
So you don't have a desire to, let's say, rationally formalize your system.
Yes,
but
exactly.
You still believe it's consistent.
It appears to be consistent. Yeah. It seems like it is.
I have a pretty similar experience, I think, because every time I've tried to rationalize that system, I've come up with something that doesn't fully describe that intuition. Mm-hmm. There's always something missing, and the conclusion that I personally have come to for myself is that a completely consistent framework to describe the intuition probably does not exist, or does not exist in a form that yields enough information for me to find out what it is.
Well, and the way I was actually thinking about it is like there is good, or like moral good. It exists, and like I forgive me, but I'm gonna use a religious sense because this is sort of how I interpret it. Like my morality.
I gotta go for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, just make sure that all the words that you say actually mean things. Otherwise, I will just fucking tear into it.
Okay. I think that I liken the experience of my moral feeling to feeling like the Holy Spirit is telling me what to do. It feels like there is a universal good force enlightening me. Just outside, I'm going to use the term, I'd say it's outside of myself, but just to mean, when I say that, I mean, I have no idea where it comes from. Like, it just seems like it's caused by itself. Like, it's not like, I don't feel like, it's good to help someone I see suffering because I think there's a reason. For some reason, it seems like the final cause of that feeling that it's good is itself. Or it comes from outside myself or something. Like, there's no thing underneath it in me. And that's why I liken it to the Holy Spirit. And another reason I do that is because what this suggests is that my moral feelings come from, and I'm going to borrow some fucking Kant here, the will to do good. And like, it is objectively like me, like there is some good that I'm striving for. And like, it's going to depend situationally what is good and what isn't good. It's not that there's going to be some clear principles of action like don't steal or don't lie. Like, that's not how it works. In different situations, there are going to be different things that work towards that good. Or that are good. It's not working towards good, but that are good. Like, that are the best thing to do. It's not a clear rule of what actions are right. It's just, there is a course you can follow in a given moment that is good, is right. And it's not about the consequences of your actions. It's not about the results that will happen either. That's why it's still deontologist. So maybe there is some aspect of universality in there because I'm assuming that I'm working towards a universal good in some way.
Well, I think the main problem here is that it's not impossible for this to be consistent, but I think that it's almost impossible. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I think that what you're describing, if you like strip it down, is actually just your moral intuition.
I mean, that's why it's intuitive deontology, because it's based on my intuition. And it's just,
I think that what you're describing is your moral intuition, but then you have to ask a really important question. Where is your moral intuition sourced from?
I don't know. It's sourced from itself. It's sourced from the will to do good.
Well, it's certainly not. I think that it's really difficult to doubt that your moral intuition is actually sourced from a lot of different places, which
I'm taking a leap of faith that but seriously, there's a very clear, it's heavily Christian influence. It feels like I am a Christian atheist. I believe I have felt the touch of the Holy Spirit, and my rational brain cannot accept that as real. But the best way to describe it is I just know. For some reason, I just know what the right thing to do is. Something tells me, and I know it's right. I have faith that it's right. I just know, and it's
So does that mean that you've never felt the feeling of believing that something is right and then later deciding that you made the wrong decision? Well, not based on learning new evidence.
Well, here's the
but
thing.
Based on new considerations.
Here's the thing. It's not like I have, like, this moral feeling I have doesn't, like, happen all the time. It doesn't even happen when I'm trying to make a moral decision. It might not come over me. There are certain moments, though, where I have had it come over me where I knew what was right. And it's rare, so I don't always know what was right. And the moments where I knew what was right, they've never been a conflict. And I've never looked back and thought, oh, wait, actually, that was wrong. No, every single time, I just know with all of my heart that was right.
So in that case, how do you make moral decisions when you don't have that feeling?
I just do my best to try and
wing it. Okay.
I mean, but like I think like I did, and yet again, it's not that I don't have any moral intuitions about what's right and wrong. It's just I am the only times I am sure are those moments where I feel the Holy Spirit in me. And I do use those moments where I've been sure as like a guide, because I feel like, well, I feel like they're the closest I have to like, the truth, right? And on top of this, I will say, I think with deep reflection, like if I really am confused about something, if I really reflect long enough and sort of like meditate on it, I guess, or pray, sometimes that is sufficient for me to realize what that moral feeling is, to talk to God and to get his, say like, oh yeah, this is what you should do, Eva.
Well, I'm glad that like all other people, talking to yourself is helpful.
Well, yeah, but and yet again, I use the Christian, not because I literally believe it to be true, but because it is what I do. It is an accurate description of what I do.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? I've been through periods of severe emotional turmoil where like a decade after I stopped being religious, I went back to praying, except I did it like,
because it's soothing.
Like I would start the prayer always with like some ironic shit like, hi me, or like, fucking, look Sky, I need your advice. Right? Like fucking, I think that it's legitimately intellectually useful to have those religious ideas and like use them and like leverage their power.
Yes.
But also acknowledge in the way you talk about them what they actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what bothers me most about how you talk about them, because you don't really do that.
Well, because I think that it's inexplicable. I mean, I guess the way I would put it is I don't think it's actually the Holy Spirit. I don't think it's actually God. What I think is
that's the thing, right? I don't think it's inexplicable. I think you're not trying to explain them.
No, I disagree. I think that, because I do think that the root of our experience is our feelings. And so what I am doing is just, through listening to the Holy Spirit or whatever, is just being more self-aware of my feelings, of my true, strongest feelings about the matter at hand. And I can try and impose or based on like, I can like write down all the different, feelings I've had and try and retroactively, analyze them to say, oh, okay, it seems like they follow this structure. It seems like these are things that I value. These are commonalities between all the different moral feelings I've had. I can do that to try and describe what my morality is function or appears to be, like how the message I had sent to something that I was reading earlier about how I value compassion and loyalty and honesty. But ultimately, it's not because like I don't know if. And maybe there is some like structure of my brain and psychology that really is like there are these core values that I can pick out that do seem to determine, what my moral feelings are, but that doesn't reflect my actual experience.
I do think you've actually misunderstood what I meant when I said explain.
Okay.
I don't think that you need to explain those things in order to explain what's going on with the utility of prayer for determining your moral feelings, right? I think that in the process of trying to tap into that Holy Spirit, you call it, what you're actually what you're actually doing is you're trying to access a part of your feelings which can't be accessed analytically.
Yeah.
And I think thinking about it that way explicitly is.
I mean, but that is explicitly how I think about it. I think about it as just trying to be aware of what my feelings are, like to truly like feel my feelings without trying to like necessarily put them into words.
I hate that you said feel your feelings, and I totally got it.
It's just how it is, man. It's how it is.
Yeah, no, I get it. I guess all I'm saying is that, like, fucking, when you take the time to like, go out of your way to understand what's going on, that provides a lot of usefulness.
Sometimes
it pulls you away from the kind of like mystical thinking that can lead you.
But sometimes putting things into clear words and clearly articulating them is actually just distancing yourself from the truth. Because the truth of my moral feelings is the feeling. It's not the description of the feeling. I feel like I both agree and disagree with that statement, and I'm trying to figure out which part is which. Gal, you made it back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Your internet sure has been having difficulty.
It has today, yeah.
Or I think you actually said you were going to go at some point as well. So maybe you knew.
Well, no. Also, though, I kind of need to go very soon.
Oh, frick.
But we maybe want to decide next week. And also, I wanted to talk about possibly the second reading group. That might be better for. Although, Anar Cooper, does this time suddenly now work for you, or is it just you just?
No, I'm up at 5 a.m.
Oh no! Oh, that's no good. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna find this the syllabus so I can choose the next reading.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to decide on a number, right?
Well, yeah, but like the thing is, because like I think the ones we've done way we've done it so far has been split rather nicely. So I want to continue to do that. Okay, so next one maybe up through 315. Let's see how many pages that is.
315.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's actually rather short, honestly.
That's like 130, which is like 50% more than the other two.
Yeah, but no, but the number doesn't matter. It's because like the length of it might have a lot of shorter sections.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should look at page counts then.
Yeah, because
like,
right now
that's
only 30 pages.
Sorry,
We've been reading 40 pages. Let me see what 362 is. Let me see how far up that
What do you mean
is.
we've been reading 40 pages? Oh, okay. Page counts.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you know what? Okay, we'll read up to 362. Because that's around exactly 40 pages.
Okay. So there's a lot of short ones in here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it must be. Okay, so we're going to read to 362. Okay. So
Wow, is that only page 60 on the PDF? Wow. Wow, it is. Huh.
Okay, so we will read up through section.
Wow, yeah, okay. So on the PDF, this 20-page this third of the book in terms of length is like twice as long as the last two.
Wait, what?
Okay, sorry. In terms of the way it goes up in numbers, the average length of one number in this section that we're doing now is like half of the average length of the last two.
Sorry, I'm not listening because I'm typing this out.
Dang it. Compared to the other ones we've done, the average length of...
No, I'm still typing. I'm not listening. I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait. I'm very, very sorry.
I assumed that when you said that... Okay.
No, because I'm still typing.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me see. Is there a square? Square. Okay. Okay. How do I... All right. And then... Okay. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying...
Okay, yeah, anyway, what I was trying to say is that in this section we're doing, in terms of page count, like this is going to be like 40 pages, the average length of one number in this 40-page section is about half of the average length of...
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just varies. And then, so also, let's discuss, Einar Kumar, while we have you here. Okay, wait, I have to look at the converter. So I was thinking of possibly Saturday mornings are the only time I can do that would work for you. Let me see. So Saturday, like 10 a.m. EST, we'll say. Well, wait, are there any West Coast folks in this group? Anybody
I'm in the fucking Rocky Mountain time zone, so...
so 10 a.m. would be 8 a.m. for you. Right?
Oh, man. Yeah, it would be.
Okay.
10 a.m. would be 8 a.m. for me. It might be better to just stay up through the night, is that right?
Oh, my God. Fuck. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, okay?
Yeah, well, you're a productive member of society.
Okay, so actually, we'll say, how about 11 a.m. EST, which would be... Is that 12-hour difference for you?
GMT plus 8.
I don't know the GMT shit.
So it would be 7 o'clock, 7 p.m.
Is 7 p.m. on Saturdays work for you? I mean, actually, aside from that, does Saturday evenings work for you?
Oh, wait, no. I'm a liar.
Thursday.
It's not 7.
Yeah, no, that seemed wrong.
It doesn't matter.
No,
It doesn't matter. Anar Kumar.
no, you said you were up at like 5 a.m., right? That would mean...
I want to do this every day.
Huh?
I just happen to be up.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, do Saturday evenings, like normal evening times, like, because it would be morning for me, but do Saturday evenings work for you as a potential time? Because the only time I can do a morning meeting is on Saturdays. So does that work for you?
Sure. Let me just double check that. Oh, it is a 12-hour difference. Okay. So whatever you have, I have in the PM.
Yeah. So it would have to be something
12-hour
like...
difference is possibly the worst possible.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, it's not Samya, you don't have to join if you don't want. I mean, I'm just trying to think about the logistics of it. I might, put out a poll or something about...
I was actually going to read it.
Read what?
The text.
Which text?
I was going to read the one we're reading.
Wittgenstein?
Yeah.
No. We're still going to have the Sunday meetings. I'm sorry, Anar Kumar.
Okay.
You're going to, if you want to do the Wittgenstein meetings, you're going to have to stay up super late. I'm very sorry we can't change that. I'm talking about a second meeting time for, different texts.
I thought we were trying to figure out how to change it. Okay.
No. We're not changing it. No. Sorry, Anar Kumar. I'm so sorry.
I got all confused. I think that was pretty clear from how you were talking. I just wasn't paying enough attention.
That's okay. I do that all the time. So I'll maybe put out a poll for Saturday mornings, if that works for people, to see if that would be cool. Because I would like you to, I want everybody who wants to be part of like the reading group to be able to do it. And I mean, maybe it'll have to be something like that where maybe if the only times at work are times where I can't go, that's fine. It's just then somebody else would need to be taking charge of that because I can't be in charge of a reading group I'm not attending. But like, you know what I mean? So, all right.
Yeah, but Saturday morning should work.
Well, Saturday evenings for you.
Yeah.
Although I guess, wait a minute. We could also do late at night for me and early morning for you. Right? Like for instance, like 11. Well, I don't want to stay up late. well, in theory, we could do like 10 p.m. meetings for me, and that would be like 10 a.m. for you.
Yeah.
Well, that changes things. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. We'll have to think about it.
That would make it quite late for me, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot. That's why. That's why it has to be my mornings, because of the Europe folks. I forgot about that. Okay.
Wait, so are you in Eastern time?
I'm in Eastern time.
Okay, good. Just checking that. I did everything right.
Yeah. So Saturday mornings really are probably the only time that would work. I guess I'll have to send out a poll. Anna, since you're the one, I'm going to try and make sure that you're involved in this. Don't you feel so special? Don't you feel so accommodated? Aren't I so nice?
Nicest person I know.
I know, right? I'm great. I'm just the greatest person on this planet.
After me, but yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts about what you'd want to read? I mean, and maybe what we'll do is, like, you don't have to have an answer now, but just think about that because I would like to make sure it's at least something you're interested in.
Well, for me, the more abstract, the better.
The more abstract? What do you mean by abstract? Like Leibniz? Monadology?
I don't know Leibniz his philosophical ideas.
I'm pretty sure that's when we first ever talked on the Philosophy Channel. I think I was bringing up Leibniz.
Free will.
I know, because that's what that's what we talked about. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
And then I was driving while I was messaging, and it was really bad.
Oh, okay, that part I did not know. I don't condone
Oh, I thought I remember I was telling you that, and you were like, no, you shouldn't do it. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, definitely don't text and drive.
I do that all the time. It's so bad.
What is wrong with you? Well, at least cars are pretty safe now, so you'll just get permanently injured instead of dead.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to think how to do this. Well, it doesn't matter. We don't have to discuss it. Any other final thoughts? I'll just put out a thing about Saturday morning times. What's the latest you're comfortable staying up, Anar Kumar?
Honestly.
What? On Saturday? Like, when's the latest time you can participate in a reading club regularly?
Like up to 1, probably.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll probably just put out a thing about, like, I don't even know what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Saturday mornings, see what people think about that. And you should think on what you'd want to read, too.
I mean, there's a minimum amount of knowledge to even know what you want to read.
That's fair. I have plenty of things we could read, actually. But anyways, okay. Sounds good, guys. I will post the log shortly. I promise. And you can all listen to your beautiful voices over again in our very deep, big brain intellectual discussions. But this has been fun. Thank you guys so much for showing up. This is kind of a sad turnout, honestly. Like I'm a little A little sad.
I'm sorry, it's a bad turnout for Wittgenstein for you.
I know, because it's like, I love Wittgenstein. You know, so many people are all like, oh yeah, like, I really want to do it, but like, I can't because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you know what, fuck you. Like, you're not doing it, you're not doing it. Oh my god, now I'm shucking so much shade.
Yeah, they're gonna hear it.
Yeah, except for they're not, because nobody fucking listens to this. I do sometimes listen to them, though, just because I'm, like, curious. I'm like, wait, I wonder. And then I listen, and I'm like, oh my god, my voice. Because your voice always sounds so much higher than it actually sounds. Like in your head, it sounds lower. And my voice is...
Yeah, you're right.
particularly
I know
screechy.
I know your voice is fine. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I'm not actually worried about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I know that my voice is like, I usually think that it's kind of, in the middle somewhere. But I know it's a little bit on like the deep-ish side, just because like it's definitely not far in there. But like when I hear it talking out loud right now, I think it's like way higher than it actually is.
Interesting.
I always wonder about my voice because even when I'm listening to it in a recording, it's so hard to judge it, right? Like, it's so hard to think, like, what kind of person do I even come off as? Because I'm listening to my own words. They're words that I came up with.
I feel like I sound really stupid when I talk. I'm not gonna lie. Like, whenever I listen to myself, I mean, and I don't think I'm stupid. I just feel like the way I talk sounds kind of dumb. But that's okay. I'm fine with it. Well,
I don't think so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't think I don't think the things I say are necessarily stupid. I just think
the only times you have like the surface appearance of dumb is when you start using religious terminology.
Oh my god! Fuck off.
I didn't say that you were being dumb.
I know. But I think it's silly to associate religion or religious beliefs with being stupid.
It is possibly the strongest correlation I've found.
You're not good at correlations, then.
Okay, yeah. Fucking... I don't know. I have not... Okay, no. The strongest common one, I will admit. Like, if you find somebody that, like, doesn't believe in, like, modern medicine or something, then you've probably got a stronger correlation. Anyway. But like, in general, right? Like, fucking, I feel like religious people don't do a very good job.
You know what? I think that people who are seriously religious versus people who are just completely a-religious and don't think about their lives at all, that the religious people on average are smarter. Or at least more self-aware. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I think it's mostly orthogonal. Because, like, Euler was religious. Newton was religious.
I'm not saying it's necessarily direct, but I'm saying anybody who seriously engages in religion is at least spending some of their time self-reflecting and thinking and trying to be a good person, and they're thinking about the world in some way. You know, whereas someone who is a-religious and not necessarily atheist, but just doesn't think about, like religion forces people, if you seriously practice it, it forces you to seriously think about the world. And you're gonna be a smarter person if you're at least thinking about the world than someone who just doesn't think at all.
It's definitely going to give you the right tools to think, but it's also going to give you false beliefs in the process of doing so.
It might give you false beliefs.
I think that...
Thank you, Anna.
Right. It's possible for it not to. It's possible for it not to. It's
You're such an ass. Oh my god.
I am such an ass about religion. Because,
you are. Well...
You just resent your past self, so you hate religion.
Ooh.
Say again?
You just resent your past self, so you hate religion.
Fuck yes, I resent my past self. My past self is so fucking stupid.
You should have more sympathy for him.
Right? Like, my past self was not stupid, right? As a religious person, I asked questions that made religious people angry. But, like, fucking... I think I might have even said that exact thing in this chat before. But like, fucking, I wasn't stupid, but the conclusions I came to were so stupid. And it was because I was using the wrong lens.
I see. Well, I'm sorry you had that experience.
I think that it is inherent to religion.
Okay. I
disagree.
I disagree too. Hey, Kumar, are you religious?
No, but I was.
What kind?
Well, I was raised Muslim.
Okay. I figured. Because you said Saudi Arabia, I was like, we gotta.
That's cool. That's actually a coincidence. We only went there for financial reasons.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, and it paid well.
That's cool, though.
Oil money.
Nice. It's cool. I'm glad we can get some alternative perspectives in here. You know.
Yeah, I think everyone here is from a Christian background or Christian adjacent.
Yeah.
Christian adjacent. Phrasing fucking Islam as Christian adjacent is the most fucking Eurocentric thing I've ever heard.
No, I meant.
I
meant like from a vaguely Christian background or like Christian culture.
Yeah.
He was saying Anar Kumar, for being Muslim, is not Christian or Christian adjacent. It's something separate.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. It's an Abrahamic religion.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm saying what Gal meant.
Yeah, but it's not Christian.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys. It's been fun. Do the readings.